Zone.
What's up, everybody? Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome in on this Thursday, live with you in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Your hometown heroes in all 82 counties across the great state of Mississippi. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Y'all feel free to hit me up today on this Thursday show. I'm not really sure how or where to start, but I will start with this. Braves win. Braves win. What was it in? 13, 12? A walk-off single, Freddie Freeman, that JB loosely predicted would happen yesterday based on a conversation that he had had with a friend. He kind of went ahead and prophesied that that's what we were going to see. And it happened, JB.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have come to that.
No, it shouldn't.
They still
I walked
should've-
in the door yesterday, and my youngest son said to me, "Man, Matt was fired up about the Braves not bunting." And I said, "What'd you think about that, E?" And he goes, "Man, he's right."
Hey, I'm right. They should have bunted. They still should have bunted, even though they won the game. And as it turns out, I agree with A-Rod. JB sent me a link, and it's a story from USA Today yesterday, and the headline was Major League Baseball fans roasted A-Rod for his nonsensical opinions about bunts in the Reds and Braves game. A-Rod was like me. Hey, man, bunt them over. They had two different times in extra innings, one with Swanson at the plate, one with Albies, bunt them over. What he said, this is a guy who played. He's right. I'm right. Braves still win. All is right with the world. Now what do y'all want to talk about? Let's move on to the next thing. Game 2 is underway. And guess what? No score. All right. To this point, third inning. Hello, Lynn, on Facebook. All the folks that are tuning in on the Facebook live stream. Your comments on Facebook and on YouTube and Periscope, they pop up all in one screen for me everywhere, and I can see them. Lynn, Hail State to you. Wayman says Hail State. Paul, watching on Periscope. Something about shoulder surgery. You're checking on your brother who's having shoulder surgery. Well, all the best to you and to him, particularly. Paul's a big Cubs fan. What's up, Dorothy? Thanks for watching. Cody, tuning in from Horn Lake. Y'all know where Horn Lake is? And everybody in the metro. Central Mississippi, Jackson, and surrounding areas tuning in on 105.9 The Zone. If you're listening to the replay tonight on WVBG 107.7 Vicksburg, 1490 Talk Radio over there. What's up in the Bird? Enjoyed being with y'all last weekend. You know, it is Thursday. It sort of feels like the weekend, though. And guess what, JB? Unless something happens, man, I'm planning on going to a football game tonight.
Yeah, you going to do what we talked about yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Nanawaya is hosting Noxapater out in the far reaches of Winston County, two communities that are right next to each other that ain't too fond of one another, if you know what I'm saying. So that big rivalry game is tonight, and I'm going to slip out there, go watch it, take the cameras, film it, see what happens, that kind of thing.
Some
Something
fried chicken too, huh?
Yeah, somebody suggested that we do that, right?
Yeah, I think White Denzel.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think it
if he's
was.
listening, he can affirm or deny that.
Let's see, was it him? Let me see. I bet it's still there from yesterday. Yep, he said it was Denzel yesterday on the Country Pleasing text line. 885-ESPN. There's a number if you're watching the live stream. I've got it on the screen for you. 601-885-ESPN. That's how to text me on the show. On the Country Pleasing Sausage text line, I went back to jalapeno and cheddar this morning for breakfast. I like the pineapple. I like it a lot.
I just moved to Tupelo to have breakfast with
I just
you
needed
every
that
day.
kick. I needed that jalapeno and that little bit of make my head sweat to go, boom, wake up, Matt. That's what I need in the morning. Anyway, yeah, on the text line yesterday, it was Denzel who said, if you go to the game, stop by Woody's in Noxapater and get the best chicken in the state of Mississippi. I love fried chicken. However, I have been sort of I don't know, off of fried chicken for a long time and this whole diet thing, trying to keep the weight off. But I like it so much it's dangerous. Like, you have one piece of fried chicken, you want more, sort of thing. So I have to be very, very careful with it. I honestly do.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the deal, isn't it? It's having the discipline to not just turn yourself loose on stuff. And I think part of that too is, JB, I've got a lot of problems. We all have problems. We all have things we deal with. But being self-aware is not one of mine. I've kind of been where you try to get to for most of my life, which is, a healthy amount of self-awareness,
right,
without an unhealthy amount of self-consciousness. Does that make any sense at all?
Make perfect sense.
So
it means when you look yourself in the mirror, you can see the warts as well as the good stuff.
That's it. I'm okay kind of with where I am in reality. Yeah. I've never really struggled with that. I struggle with other stuff. Other people struggle with other stuff. So to say that, I understand that my natural makeup, the way I think, the way I've always kind of approached things is I'm either in or I'm out.
No middle ground.
Yeah, and see, that's not necessarily always good. Okay, it can be to your advantage in something like sports. Okay? If I'm going to do it, I'm just going to outwork everybody.
Right.
Or I'm not going to do it at all, sort of thing, right? If I'm going to study for a test, I'm just going to make 100. I'm not going to make a 90. Who wants to get something wrong? Or I'm just not studying at all.
There you have it.
And that ain't, see what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a good thing, but that's the way I am. My mother made this comment. I forget what we were talking about recently. But she made this comment. She said, you have never done anything partially or part of the way. It is true. So sometimes I have to be careful with, if I decide I'm going to start eating fried chicken, man, I'm going to eat a lot of it.
You're all in.
I'm all in. Yeah.
So. What's your favorite piece of the fried chicken? I'm a leg guy.
Leg.
I love a good chicken.
Yeah, leg. Although I like it enough that I'm not really too picky, Okay, here's what I thought I would do. It's 0-0 Braves. Nobody, I'll give you a score if something happens. A lot of Cubs fans around here. Mike Leach had a very famous rant a couple of years ago when the Cubs, or several years ago when the Cubs were in the World Series against the Indians, when he was the coach up at Washington State. Y'all looked it up, where he said, everybody's running around here going, my Cubbies, my Cubbies. And I'm like, I agree with you. That's silly. You didn't say my Cubbies for 20 years when they were the lovable losers. Now you say my Cubbies. Anyway, lots of Cubs fans around here, I think, legitimately because of people growing up with WGN and Harry Carey over the years. So baseball, fine. Well, I'll keep you updated on that. I am going to take a look, because I haven't done this yet this week. I'm familiar. We're all familiar with kind of some of the SEC matchups, and we're going to preview one later in the show. I just haven't taken a look at games tonight, other games around the country. We may just take a look at the schedule. It's Thursday. It's about time to go ahead and start familiarizing ourselves with the college football schedule that you're going to see on TV this weekend or be able to listen to, and kickoffs and all that. I want to do that real quick. But first, a couple of comments on the Country Pleasing text line, Country Pleasing Sausage. By the way, Chuck on Facebook says he's a thigh guy. Okay. That's close. That's a leg, isn't it? Anyway, Kyle says he is listening from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Well, you know what? The Hogs are coming to Starkville this weekend. I have said before, I like Arkansas fans. Every time I've gone to the state of Arkansas, it's beautiful. I like Arkansas fans. They think like I do, which is, hey, let's get up and go duck hunting or deer hunting and then go straight to the game from there. They're my kind of folks. And I would say that if I wasn't a state fan, I would highly consider being an Arkansas fan. That said, I made a comment on Twitter this morning, and it was not a shot. Some people took it that way. But I read a story about how feral hogs are an invasive species. They're taking over and causing lots of problems, which they have for years. And I thought, well, and I tweeted this, is Arkansas the only school I can think of that has a mascot that is an invasive species? Technically,
well, you don't see too many elephants running around.
You don't, but invasive species. They're not invasive.
No, they're freaking huge.
Yeah, it's not like a team out there that we know of is called the Carp. And I mean, no, they're the Arkansas Razorbacks, which is technically an invasive species. But I love their fight song. They have a great fight song. They have a great band. They have a couple of the hog mascots, including the big inflatable one, if you've ever been to a game in Fayetteville or whatever. Hey, it's good, okay? They have a great atmosphere. Yeah, you ought to go one of these days if you get an opportunity. That's the Arkansas band from Arkansas land. That's all I know how to say. Bill said, Matt, who has a deeper pitching staff, Cincinnati or Atlanta? Based on yesterday's game, it might be Hotlanta. Huh? All right, let me look here, too. Some interesting comments over here on the live stream. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, people tuning in. John, you told me, Cowherd would not be pleased with you for wearing your cap backwards. I've always done that. It's more comfortable to me. It has nothing to do with being bald-headed. It's just times if I have it on, I'm indoors. Sometimes it just gets in the way, especially when there's a microphone in front of me. But I just always have had an inclination to sometimes turn it around backwards. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But I will say this. Several years ago, somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos and said, you're way too old to be wearing your hat backwards.
Like age has anything to do with that.
Right. So when he said that, I have a very rebellious spirit.
Yeah, you do.
See, and JB, you know what I'm talking about. That microphone arm in front of your face, you almost can't have your hat around the other way.
You can't.
But I somebody tells me I shouldn't or couldn't do something, I kind of have to just start doing that.
Yeah.
So you tell me I'm too old to wear my hat backwards, I'm probably just going to wear it backwards in spite of you.
Right.
With that thought in mind sometimes. It's a fault. It's the way I am. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, nobody ever said that to Yogi Berra either.
No. He was a catcher.
Right.
Billy said, sounds crazy, but pepper jack and green onion on a biscuit. Oh, I guarantee you. The pepper jack and green onion sausage from Country Pleasing. Make your tongue slap your hat off. It's that good. Mason is on Facebook watching from Albertville, Alabama. Yeah. That's another one where we're talking about mascots that are invasive species. Other people brought this one up. Jason mentions it on Facebook. The Santa Barbara banana slugs. Banana slugs. I mean, how are you going to compete with that?
I forgot about that.
Really.
Well, the anteaters. You got the Cal Irvine anteaters.
You got the anteaters, but they're not invasive.
No.
That's the thing. Invasive species to me is very negative. It's a very negative connotation.
Right.
I think of those Asian carp that, I see the videos on Facebook where the boat's riding up that channel and the carp get spooked and they just start jumping out of the water and they're jumping into the boat.
Not me, man. That'd be freaky.
I'm telling you. You'd be jumping out of the boat, wouldn't you?
Swimming into the piranha.
Getting out of the boat as soon as they would let you, huh?
Be walking on water.
Yeah. What did Nick say over here on the Country Pleasing text? 885 ESPN Country Pleasing. Nick says, I've been waiting on my Dodgers to win another one since I was 8 years old. It's happening this year. I agree with you, Nick. They're going to win it this year.
Need some perspective there. How old is he now?
How old are you now?
No, you just have to go.
Was he 18?
Yeah.
Hadn't won since I was 8. Okay. How old are you, Nick? JB is exactly right. We're going to need to know your age. Now we can kind of get this right. All right. Unnamed Texter says, hey, Matt, looking forward to seeing you at Crossgates in a couple of weeks. Got my tickets last night. Man, yeah, I'm looking forward to being with y'all. We'll talk about Jesus, pray a little bit, and see what happens. Let's see. Kyle from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Oh, he's a state alum. So I played him. He's from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Kyle is, who texts us. I played him the Arkansas fight song, and then he says, no. I'm a state alum. I'm in the heart of enemy country. Yeah, well, hang in there this week. Maybe it will be a week where they need to hang in there, right? Maybe your Bulldogs will run them out of the stadium and everything will be cool, Kyle, up there where you live.
Hey, Nick's 40, and
okay,
he sent me that text right at the time I figured it out because the Dodgers last won the World Series in 88.
88. It's been a while. They've been good. They've always been a thorn in the Braves side, but the Braves have a more recent one than they do. Chase texted us and said, how about the Minnesota Twins losing 18 straight playoff games? I mean, that's incredible. But if you're asking me as a Braves fan to give a flip what happens to the Minnesota Twins after the 90 World Series, I hope they lose 18 straight more. Just telling you the truth. Somebody says, hey, Matt, Arkansas Monticello has invasive species as their mascot, the boll weevil. How about that? I forgot about it. The Arkansas Monticello boll weevils. Yep, invasive for sure. But all it takes is a spray to get rid of them. I mean, feral hogs, what you can do? Shoot them. Catch them, shoot them. Shoot it. That's all you can do. The best country-pleasing sausage, hands down, is Junior's. That's from Bill. DB says, you're too old to wear your cap facing forward. In other words, DB thinks I'm just too old to wear hats. I mean, what does age have to do with anything on the hat thing? All right, doggone it. Here we go. I know what you've got on your mind. I do too. Same thing for me. And that's college football for this weekend, looking ahead to it. So let's get in the mood. The games... Hey, and by the way, real quick, Jason on Facebook, I was wondering that. Gators are considered invasive also. But if they're considered invasive, why do we have this very limiting season on shooting them? Really? They're invasive, but just get rid of them. By definition.
They're also a creature that takes care of the circle of life, too. So you don't want to completely discombobulate the circle by just killing them all the time.
Yeah. Well, what are you saying? Like, according to the circle of life, we need gators. What, we got too many little house dog chihuahuas running around? We need gators to eat more of them? Is that what we need?
I actually call them chihuahuas.
Chihuahua.
But yeah.
All right. We don't have a Thursday night college game tonight on television. You do not have one that I can see. You have a couple tomorrow. On Friday, you're going to have Wake Forest hosting somebody named Campbell. And then tomorrow...
They're out of Kentucky.
Okay, out of Kentucky.
Yeah, it's a small school.
All right. And then tomorrow night at 8 on ESPN2, you're going to have BYU hosting Louisiana Tech. A couple of 2-0s right there. I'll take it. So the schedule on the weekend, we kind of know the SEC stuff. We've gone over it before, but we'll do it again real quick just so we know. The 11 a.m. games in the SEC are South Carolina at Florida, Missouri at Tennessee. South Carolina, Florida on ESPN, Missouri, Tennessee on the SEC Network. Then 2:30 CBS is A&M at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. You jump ahead to 3 o'clock on the SEC Network. That's Ole Miss at Kentucky. You then have the evening games in the SEC this weekend. All three are at 6:30. Auburn, Georgia on ESPN. Arkansas, Mississippi State on the SEC Network alternate channel. And then LSU, Vanderbilt on the SEC Network. Also, by the way, Saturday night, 6:30, no television. You have Southern Miss at North Texas, Southern Miss 0-3. All right. Other games that are going to happen this weekend that you might want to tune into if you're going to sit at home. I wish I could do it. I wish I could sit at home with you and watch all these games, but can't do it. 11 a.m. on Fox is going to be TCU at Texas. Texas 2-0. 11 a.m. on the ACC Network, 24th ranked Pittsburgh 3-0 hosting NC State. 11 a.m. on ESPNU, it's East Carolina at Georgia State, playing in Atlanta there at the former Turner Field turned Georgia State football stadium. Pretty cool deal there. Hadn't been to it, but I've seen the pictures and all. Seems like I watched a game on television there a couple of weeks ago. So those are notable. You got some Sunbelt and Conference USA games happening in the early time slots. Also, others, if you jump to the afternoon, okay, 2:30 on ESPN is Oklahoma State 2-0 at Kansas. 2:30 on ESPN2, you have Memphis trying to get going again on the road at SMU. SMU's 3-0. 2:30 on Fox Sports 1, Kansas State, coming off the upset of Oklahoma, is going to host Texas Tech. Again, that's 2:30 FS1. All right, look in the evening slot. Jump to that evening 6:30 time slot. Games that are not in the SEC. Oklahoma trying to bounce back from the upset to Kansas State. Oklahoma is at Iowa State, 6:30 on ABC. Both those teams have lost a game they weren't supposed to, right? Iowa State got beat by Louisiana earlier in the year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then
the Raging Cajuns.
The Raging Cajuns, who, by the way, they had a big game scheduled this week. Louisiana did with App State, the two best Sun Belt teams, but they're postponing it until December, the first weekend in September. I just saw that news.
Yeah.
The last game that I see on the TV schedule for this Saturday night is 7 o'clock kickoff on the ACC network. Number 1 Clemson hosting Virginia.
That'll be a barn burner.
You know, it could be, right? It'd be a rematch of the ACC title game from last year, in which Clemson scored 60-something points and ran them out of the building, but it is a rematch of that. And in this case,
I never thought I'd say this, but I'm going to say it today on this show. Clemson to the ACC, if you took them and put them in the SEC, you couldn't replace them, and I don't think they would do as well as, say, in Alabama. But you could take many schools out of the SEC and put them in Clemson's schedule. And now, I'm not saying they'd be as good or as great, but I definitely think you could put Alabama in there. And Alabama do the same things that Clemson does.
Have the same
there. Yeah.
Have the same record against their schedule, basically, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think Clemson could do that in the SEC.
That's interesting.
Just what I'm saying.
Well, it's an interesting question. Which SEC schools would go undefeated against Clemson's schedule?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. All right, we're just getting started with you on a Thursday. Stick around.
Get a great deal on Kubota utility.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
a lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone.
All right, back with you on this
We
Thursday.
need to get him to redo that liner, Matt.
Why is that?
To do a bunt.
A bunt, yeah. Lays it down a third base line. That'll move the runner over. And now there's only one out. Well, now there's one out with a runner in scoring position in the ninth inning. It's the Matt Wyatt Show.
We do what we have to do to win the game.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, look, they won. Hallelujah. Great. Wonderful. It worked out. If you didn't pitch a shutout, maybe we're having a different story. Maybe he knew they were going to shut him out. Okay? But here's my thing. If Snitker knew, JB, that his bullpen was going to go out and shut him out, then why, after the game, say, I am speechless at the performance of my bullpen?
Right. I'm not sure I would have said that.
Okay.
There's a better way to express your surprise.
Yeah.
Those guys got out there and did it today, man.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, what about the performance of your bullpen? Can't believe it. Wouldn't have bet on that in 100 years. You guys don't realize how bad they are. There's no way they should have done that. It's I don't even have the words to describe what a miracle that was. Oh, man. Putting words in other people's mouth. A sports radio tradition that lives on here on the Matt Wyatt Show. Live with you on a Thursday in the Farm Bureau studio. Y'all call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Text me on the Country Please and text line. I got a bunch of those from Jason and Beer Slayer and Bull and Dennis and State Grad and even Coffee Norman. Speaking of which, I got hot coffee in here from High Point Roasters in New Albany. HighPointRoasters.com. Get your coffee there. Quickly here, conversation that's happening on the live stream. First up, we get fact-checked from time to time, JB, like the president. John on Facebook said, by the way, there's probably 5 or 6 schools in the SEC that would go undefeated with Clemson's schedule. 5 or 6 is a big number. David said Campbell University is in, is that Bues Creek, North Carolina, not Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's the Campbellsville.
There you go.
University I'm thinking about in Kentucky. But I'm glad to know that I was wrong.
How about this? Mississippi Delta Boy on the YouTube live stream says, I'm concerned about State this weekend. He says, I know we have a different coaching staff and things are different in general. It's just that MSU mentality. What does that mean? Is it you mean, is that your mentality as an MSU fan, or you think there's a mentality for the players because they play for MSU? Like, which is it? We were talking about that yesterday. Can Arkansas go in there and pull off a win? Yeah, I mean, if they play really well and State makes some mistakes, sure. State should win the game, though, right? For several different reasons. But I don't think letdown is going to factor into this. It doesn't feel to me like the right time of the year for there to be somebody having a letdown. You beat LSU last week. But if you've listened, JB, the comments coming out of Starkville, Mike Leach, KJ Costello, last night Zach Arnett, Steve Spurrier Jr. are all about, they watched the film and frankly, it wasn't great. They did a lot of really good things. The offense did throw and catch. They had the explosive plays, but especially on defense, they were like, "Hey, man, we got a lot to work on." Well, I've got it right here. Let me let you hear what this is. What
Zach Arnett video?
Yeah, this is what Zach Arnett said. He was absolutely point blank. We had busts and missed assignment all over the field on defense. Here's what he said about it.
Missed assignments, guys either going the wrong way or not executing the call or busting coverage where you got receivers running wide open. And thank goodness, one guy in the pass rush can make a Herculean effort and, reach out and hit the quarterback's arm, and it leads to an interception instead of a touchdown. But, I know all of our opponents watching that film, they're chomping at the bit to play us on defense because they see a whole bunch of opportunities out there for big plays and points.
How about that? Okay, if they have a letdown, it's not because of the coaching staff and not because the coaching staff doesn't realize that they, were fortunate at times in that ball game against LSU. They made the plays, made a bunch of them, but stuff like that, it tells you, Mike Leach says, we're probably not as good as some of y'all think we are. They're watching the film and seeing all that kind of stuff, and that's rightfully so in week one. But that's what I would say about that. Here's Zach Arnett pointing to exactly what we've been saying on this show leading into the year, and then you saw it last week. Inexperienced secondary, sometimes learning on the fly. Therefore, it is imperative, it's absolute, that the seniors on the defensive line must get to the quarterback and apply pressure.
Our defensive front is the most experienced group we have on our side of the ball. We need them to play well and generate pressure and cause some havoc because we tend to be young and inexperienced behind them. And so when you got seniors up there, they need to play like seniors. Unfortunately, a few of them guys did. But again, there's missed assignments up there, and there's things we got to do a lot better at.
That's Zach Arnett. I don't think there's any patting people on the back at defensive practice this week. Do you, JB?
No, and what do we traditionally say, Matt, is the fact that, in college football, maybe in any football team, sport, when do they get, when do you see the most improvement?
Yeah, week 1 to week 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Film.
So that remains to be seen. But I would, I as a state grad, I probably understand a little bit where this guy was coming from when he, was cautiously optimistic, we'll say. Mm-hmm. But I just think there's a different mentality that Moorhead did not have, that Mullen had, that I think Leach possesses, and I think it's just a natural thing for those guys who want to follow and get better. I mean, you heard Costello with some of the clips you played yesterday, talking about how much fun it is to play for this cat. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that they have to do up downs when they do something wrong, yeah. Lord have mercy, man, are we back in Pee Wee football? But no, I mean, yeah. That just goes to show you he's a different cat as a head coach. And your tweet was priceless about the expression he had after a touchdown and after an interception. Yeah, I mean, it's like stone-faced. It's just no different either way. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I totally agree, JB. RLD Studio, watching the live stream on YouTube today, says State will win big. I like it. See if it happens. All right, Country Please and text line, State Grad 98 says the Dodgers have the best team money can buy. They got a good baseball team, and they, like you say, should go on and probably meet up with the Yankees is probably what should happen, but hey, stranger things. Still zip, Braves, Reds, game 2. Braves can move on with the win today. Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. They are your Kubota dealer. Matter of fact, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. They've been doing it better, longer than anyone else. Go see them. Highway 51 Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson. Davini Equipment phone, Larry hanging on. Hey, Larry, thanks for calling. What's up?
Not much. Hey, I watched the game a couple times. I recorded it, and yeah, the defense makes mistakes. But I'll tell you what, they make those mistakes wide open, knocking the crap out of people.
Yeah.
That kind of makes up for it. I just wanted to put that out there. They will hit you, and well, they put 100% maximum effort when they're out there.
Well, and Larry,
that's something we hadn't seen in a while. I'll let you go, man.
No, thanks for the call. I agree with you. Sean Preston, 12, the safety, is one who jumped off the screen at you in the ball game when he would play up around the line of scrimmage. Had a couple of hits of hitting a running back on the goal line or close to it, and just thumping people. It's like Errol Thompson's rubbed off on a few guys. Those two junior college linebackers, edge players, linebackers, Jordan Davis and Tyrus Wheat, both were, really good. You saw Wheat with the sack where he's thumping people. You saw the play that Arnett mentions. It's a touchdown LSU to take the lead. Ain't no question. It was a bust in the coverage. A guy wide open back there on a 10 to walk in and catch it all by himself, and it's going to happen. But Jordan Davis hustling, getting held by the offensive lineman, still gets his arm out, gets a hand on the quarterback's arm, right on his elbow as he's going to throw it. The ball gets held up, and it's a pick. So you're right, Larry. I think you just nailed it. Totally. The mentality of you're not going to be perfect all the time. You're not going to have it all nailed down every time. You're not going to be in the right position. You're going to get fooled some. So when you make mistakes, just do it going 100 miles an hour, and generally some good things will happen. Generally. If you're going to make mistakes, make them going fast. It's Thursday, and predictions are starting to roll in. RLD Studio said State will win big. Sven gave us
make mistakes, man, and going 100%. So that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show with the fried chicken.
Yes,
you're all in, man.
I'm all in.
Even if you make a mistake, you're all in.
So there's some things I just need to be all out on. Knowing that. Sven said they're going to win by 18, 35-17. Arkansas has a good offense, but a good defense, but can't score on anyone. Ready Teddy says State 45-17. What about Ole Miss, Kentucky? Let's talk about that one next in the Farm Bureau studio. Stick around.
I'm actually going to head up to Biggersville up in Alcorn County tonight. 1A Biggersville, they're 2-0 this year. Scored 60 points in their ball game last week, so they're off to a really good start. Been by there a bunch. You can see the school and the field from the highway. There's a school, a water tower, a barbecue place, and a Dollar General, and a lot of really good folks.
I started at Biggerville in the second grade in 1966, and I've been here since the second grade. So people in Biggerville have been so good to me. And the good Lord, I'm just really blessed by what I've been able to experience. After school Thursday, there was 28 kids out there, and we counted the orders after. We're just blessed to support the school, and they sure support me.
This is the busy night, like everyone's coming.
It's a close-knit community. They love the kids, and like I said, I've been in Biggerville for 60 years, and it's just a great place. Great place to raise your family and kids and support the school.
Smithville, who's always kind of been a 1A powerhouse, hasn't played yet this year. They haven't been able to really even practice as much because of COVID. So kind of an interesting dynamic because Biggersville has never beaten Smithville. At least that's what I'm told. So it's actually a huge opportunity for that community.
I was supposed to stay next week. Hamburger and Monday. Coke. You got any chips?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's game between the Biggersville Lions and the Smithville Seminoles. And what a game we have in store tonight as the 2-0 Lions take on the 0-0 Smithville Seminoles.
Well, let's see if the Lions can get their run game going with senior, number 23, Goldman Butler.
So tonight's matchup getting ready to take place as the Biggersville Lions won the toss. They have elected to defer to the second half. We thank you all for tuning in to tonight's ball game.
Of course, Smithville brings tradition that people long for, and that's kind of what we long for here. You know, again, we're building it, but they've kind of set the standard, especially in 1A in North Mississippi and across Mississippi in general. So yeah, it's exciting. To my knowledge, they've told me we've never beaten them. So what an accomplishment that would be, and that's what we shoot for, and just to kind of set the tone for the whole season for bigger and better things, hopefully.
Bowler got a couple of blocks. He's going to bust through. He's going to break three. One man to beat. Breaking tackle. And will finally get pushed out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. So a great job right there for the Biggersville Lions. Rails a shotgun, takes a snap, and hands it off to Butler once again. Butler up the middle, got the blocks. Going to be handed off to Butler. Round to the left side, and he'll bust into the end zone. Bowler around to the left side, and he'll look into the end zone once again. As the Lions will take a commanding 14.
All right. You ready for some football? Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to my first experience of going to Wyatt. They're hosting Noxapater tonight. Are there any other Thursday night games? I think there are some other Thursday night games. We'll look at those. We'll get into hour number 2, pull up the schedule over at MississippiGridiron.com. Look at the Week 7 schedule for high school football. So that'll be coming up. Tony on Facebook. First home game for Leach. Cowbells will be ringing for a big win. We need to do come Christmas time, we got to do a parody song, right? Instead of bells will be ringing, cowbells will be ringing. We could write. You're a good lyrics writer. Beaver does that also, doesn't he?
Yeah, Beaver and I could maybe possibly come up with something if I could keep him from thinking about the tide. Maybe if the cowbell rolled out the tide. How about that?
There you go.
During the cowbell bells of
okay.
Christmas.
Yeah, we're on to something. Need y'all to collaborate on this. Jason says, do you think it will be loud with the stadium being empty? You know, last week at LSU, of course, you had 20,000 in there, but I'll be honest with you, when we're doing percentages here, 20,000 versus 16,000, there ain't no difference, really. And in terms of noise level or anything like that, and with the 16,000 you'll have at Davis Wade Saturday, most of them will have cowbells. Okay, the home band is there, and then the home stadium's allowed to pump in noise through the speakers, crowd noise through the speakers, up to 70 decibels of 70% of what your normal decibel level is. Not 70 decibels, but 70% of what that normal loud decibel level is. And so with a combination of that, you heard Mike Leach say earlier in the week, they asked him in his press conference, what was the noise like? Was it easier to communicate? Did you have to make sure the other team didn't hear and he was like, look, I mean, it was loud enough that they couldn't hear me. He said, we were on the sideline. There's a receiver lined up nearest us. I couldn't yell loud enough for him to hear me. I think that's what we forget is, there's kind of a threshold level there where your voice just can't cut through it. Anything above that noise level is just kind of extra. It doesn't require 60,000 or 80 or 100,000 people yelling for it to be loud enough to drown out all voices of communication there. 16,000 in cowbell is going to be loud enough to give you the sense of a ball game. That was my experience at LSU. I never had a time other than looking around and seeing the empty seats, and every now and then you go, boy, this looks different. There was never a time during the game where I didn't feel like I was at a game. Whereas if you were in there and not a single solitary soul in the stands, you wouldn't feel like you're at a normal game. That's just my perspective on it. So, will it be as loud? No. Will it be loud enough? Sure. That's what I think. I think it'll be loud enough. All right.
Hey, man, I know you were wondering.
Yeah.
But I was just going to give you a heads up. Charlie Hoffman and Jimmy Walker are tied for the lead at 8 under. They both shot 64 today at the first round of the Sanderson. Afternoon
Did they?
Guys are going off right now. Yeah.
Jimmy Walker, huh?
Yeah. Not Kid Dynamite, but Jimmy Walker, the golfer.
Good times.
Look at you.
Every time you miss a payment. That song speaks to me, man. Speaks to me.
And your money abilities.
That's right. I'm so thankful for my wife. She pays everything. She pays and keeps up with it. And she'll ask me.
Keegan Bradley's at 6 under. Go ahead.
Hey, does Keegan Bradley still do the weird address the ball thing that he does?
Yeah, but it's not near as weird as Matt Wolff. Matt Wolff's almost got a Jim Furyk kind of swing, if you've ever seen that one.
Are you a golf fan, or you have kind of become one since you work at the golf course?
No, I've always been a golf fan.
Okay.
Huge golf fan.
Look, and you won't be surprised by this, there was a time in my life I was really into golf. It was primarily when I was still single before I married Annabeth, because I played about 5 days a week and didn't have anything else to do. Played golf, go to work. Play golf, go to work. You play that much. I had a little bit of athletic ability. You play that much, you get to where you can score a little bit. I was never a scratch golfer, but I had times where I broke par.
Yeah.
And would get that handicap on down there every now and then and really get after it. Was super into it. Equipment, and play this course and that course, and competitive, and watch every tournament. Couldn't get enough of it. And one day, I quit. Let's quit.
You're either all in or you're all out.
One day I quit and shut it off.
I just don't know how you do that.
You can get me to watch the Masters, and I love it. And I'm like, why don't I watch this more? And as soon as it's over, gone. No more golf.
Really?
Yeah.
I got you.
Look, everybody out there is fortunate in the sports world that people aren't like me. It's great that people can be golf fans and baseball fans and football fans and basketball fans all at once and yell and scream. Because if they were like me, it'd be super boring. So I think that's why I think I am so enthralled with a lot of the college football stuff, is it's like observing all the passion and all the people that are different.
Well, it's not like you got a lot of free time now anyway.
Oh, no.
And if you're going to go play golf, it's going to take 4 hours.
Nah, well, right. I mean, I do not have the time for it, period.
I tell you, that's one thing I love about my job is working at Live Oaks, is when people come, they're all excited. Some are not as excited when they leave as when they got there. But, it's wonderful to be able to serve somebody because they're coming to do something they want to do and have fun doing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's cool. So if you can't do it and do it that way, I agree with you. You just shouldn't do it at all.
Do something else. Go fishing.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
All right. I tell you what I do have time for. The head-to-head matchup preview. Boom. I ran off an Ole Miss fan from this show one time. I played this song for him and said, tell me what fight song this is, and he didn't know. It's Forward Rebels, and he's never called me back. Anyway, Ole Miss, Kentucky, our head-to-head matchup preview today over at Winsipedia.com. The head-to-head matchup preview is brought to you by Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. He can help you if you're buying property. He's got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. You go online, you can see the whole property from up high. 360 is really cool. So check him out. Matt Anderson at 601-408-5155, 408-5155. Ole Miss and Kentucky. Ole Miss leads the all-time series 27-14. Okay, 27 wins for Ole Miss against Kentucky, 14 in the series for Kentucky. There is one tie in there, I say tie. I believe it is a vacated game. Now, if I'm looking at this right, when you go to the kind of the interactive timeline of a series between two teams, no, I've got it wrong. I'll get this right. Hold on. When you go to that timeline on Winsipedia.com, you compare any two teams in the country, look at the whole series history, and you also have this chronological timeline here. You can scroll over any game on that timeline and see it. It's really a neat deal. Winsipedia.com. They had a tie in 1952, 13-13, in Lexington. Bear Bryant was Kentucky's coach. Vaught was Ole Miss's coach. That's 52 they tied. But there's another gray on this timeline. It is 2010, vacated. It was a 42-35 win for Ole Miss. Houston Nutt over Joker Phillips back in 2010, but it's vacated. So that's gray in there also. But you do have one tie. It happened back in the 50s. Here's the thing. Long stretch in the 70s, 80s where the teams hardly ever played each other, especially in the 70s. They almost never played each other early 70s to like mid-late 80s. Before that, they used to play all the time. And from 1956 until 1963, Ole Miss beat Kentucky 8 straight times. They dominated them. Johnny Vaught dominated Kentucky back in the 50s and 60s. They had a nice little run, winning 5 out of 6 late 60s into the early 70s. And then, like you said, they didn't play. They played twice, 78 and 79. Kentucky won both of those, one in Oxford, one in Lexington. Then they didn't play again until 1986. Billy Brewer beat them in Jackson, 33-13 in 1986 in Jackson. Guarantee you, some of y'all listening went to that Ole Miss Kentucky game in 86 in Jackson. And then you go recently. Now, recently, here in the last 20 years, in the 2000s, we've had this, weird rotation in the schedule, so they don't meet very often. Every couple of years, just here and there. So more recently, Ole Miss beat Kentucky and Oxford in 2005. Ed Ogeron was the head coach, 13-7. Went to Lexington the next year in 06 and lost to Kentucky 31-14. 2010-11, you got a vacated win for Ole Miss. 2011, Kentucky won in Lexington 30-13. And the last time they played was in Lexington, 2017. Matt Luke was the coach. Ole Miss went up there and won 37-34. Outside of that one, in kind of like modern era, Kentucky pretty much dominated the series in the modern era in Lexington. Pretty much, won those. Cutcliffe won up there once. Luke won up there. That's it. So up there has actually typically been a hard place for Ole Miss to go win. I say typically, historically, a hard place for them to go win. Sven has spoken on the live stream over on YouTube. He says it's Ole Miss 31, Kentucky 17 this weekend. Jeff, if you can hang on, I'll get to you to start hour number 2, and then we're going to talk to Bart Gregory from Mississippi State if everything goes according to plan. Y'all stick around for that in the Farm Bureau studio. Stay with me.
I'm actually going to head up to Biggersville up in Alcorn County tonight. 1A Biggersville, they're 2-0 this year. Scored 60 points in their ball game last week, so they're off to a really good start. Been by there a bunch. You can see the school and the field from the highway. There's a school, a water tower, a barbecue place, and a Dollar General, and a lot of really good folks.
I started at Biggerville in the second grade in 1966, and I've been here since the second grade. So people in Biggerville have been so good to me, and the good Lord, I'm just really blessed by what I've been able to experience. After school Thursday, there was 28 kids out there, and we counted the orders after. We're just blessed to support the school, and they sure support me.
This is the busy, not like everyone's coming.
It's a close-knit community. I mean, they love the kids, and like I said, I've been in Biggerville for 60 years, and it's just a great place. I mean, great place to raise your family and kids and support the school.
Smithville, who's always kind of been a 1A powerhouse, hasn't played yet this year. They haven't been able to really even practice as much because of COVID. So kind of an interesting dynamic because Biggersville has never beaten Smithville. At least that's what I'm told. So it's actually a huge opportunity for that community.
I was supposed to say next week. Hamburger and Coke. You got any chips?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's game between the Biggersville Lions and the Smithville Seminoles. And what a game we have in store tonight as the 2-0 Lions take on the 0-0 Smithville Seminoles.
Well, let's see if the Lions can get their run game going with senior number 23, Goldman Butler.
So tonight's matchup getting ready to take place as the Biggersville Lions won the toss. They have elected to defer to the second half. We thank you all for tuning in to tonight's ball game.
Of course, Smithville brings tradition that people long for, and that's kind of what we long for here. You know, again, we're building it, but they've kind of set the standard, especially in 1A in North Mississippi and across Mississippi in general. So yeah, it's exciting. To my knowledge, they've told me we've never beaten them. So what an accomplishment that would be, and that's what we shoot for, and just to kind of set the tone for the whole season for bigger and better things, hopefully.
Bowler got a couple of blocks. He's going to bust through. He's going to break three. One man to beat. Breaking tackles. And will finally get pushed out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. So a great job right there for the Biggersville Lions. Rails a shotgun, takes a snap, and hands it off to Butler once again. Butler up the middle, got some blocks. Going to be handed off to Butler. Round to the left side, and he'll bust into the end zone. Bowler around to the left side, and he'll look into the end zone once again. As the Lions would take a commanding 14-0 lead early on here in this ball game.
That looks great. Way to go. Hey, good call. Good job, guys. Good. Way to go.
It's a hometown. It's just a big family. Everybody here knows everybody. Friday night over the last 4 or 5 years has just increasingly become more and more exciting. You know, our team, these kids have grown, started in 8th grade and 9th grade as freshmen and played a lot of football and come a long way. This is a pretty good crowd. You know, we were limited on the number of tickets we can sell, so obviously normally there would be a lot more people here. But yeah, they definitely got a good crowd tonight.
Take snap, and they're going to go to the air. They're going to throw deep. They might have a man. Intercepted again.
By number 8, Jarrell Jones. That's the second pick of the game.
2 3-and-outs, 2 interceptions for the Lions. They are turning on all cylinders tonight here, Devin, as they will get the ball back once again. Another opportunity here to score. Here is the clock going to tick down. 2-0. The Lions are going to take a dominant victory over the Smithville Seminoles, 64-0.
And I do think that this could be the Lions' year as they show dominance in their first 3 games, but it's still pretty early.
A great game tonight for the Biggersville Lions. We thank you all for joining us here. Signing off from the Lions Den. The final score is 64-0. The Biggersville Lions win. This is Lions sportscaster Aiden McAllister, joined with me by Devin Bullock. We thank you all for joining in. Thank you and have a good night.
Go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more.
WRKS Pickett's Jackson.
Time.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Okay, what this means. Let me tell you what this means. This means hour number 2 of today's show has begun. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. JB, we may have a little issue on our hands here that we need to pass along to somebody.
Yeah, that kind of freaked me out there, man.
You see that on my Twitter feed?
I didn't see that on your Twitter feed, but something happened to my earphones.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know. I did they
like somebody was screaming at a 4 billion decibels.
No, really?
Yeah.
Bless your heart then. No wonder you're a little startled. Pretty soon you're going to be like, huh? What?
Yeah.
No, what I was going to tell you is on Twitter. See, there's a guy I know named John Neighbors who does a show up in Arkansas.
Right.
Covers the Razorbacks. And I'm going to be a guest on his show at about 3:15 this afternoon. Well, he tweeted out, and Pat Bradley's going to be in there. They're going to talk about some stuff. So he just tweeted out a promo for the show. And it turns out the name of his show is Out of Bounds.
Oh, get out.
See that?
Did you see what I did?
Out of Bounds on 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock. What'd you do?
Get out.
Get out of bounds. That's right.
That's
so
cool.
I'm just saying, hey, Bo, if you're listening, or Blake or somebody, I mean, who's got the rights on that thing?
And what's his name again?
His name's John Neighbors. He's a great guy. He does a good job up there in Arkansas. Look at here. I skipped over this. Bates, Lord of mercy, man. I hope you're still listening. This came through a little while ago from Bates on the Country Pleasing text line. Now's a good time to revisit it. Text me, 885-ESPN, 885-ESPN. Bates said, Dear Mr. Wyatt, in honor of my middle son's team playing for a district championship of football tonight, can you please play Neck by the Sonic Boom, please, sir? And then he said, and oh, by the way, crank that baby up. Yes, sir. You can have it. You asked for it. You got it, Toyota. Little Neck for you. Enjoy it. Jackson, Mississippi. Roll your windows down and turn it up to 11. Talking at the side of your neck. We do that here every day for 3 hours. Ghost Pepper. Cardinals 7, Padres 4. Birdseed, baby, birdseed. Is he the one who said, if you're not a bird, you're birdseed?
Yep.
That cracks me up. Ready Teddy is predicting Ole Miss to win in Kentucky 35-31. I don't see Kentucky's defense stopping that Ole Miss offense, do you? He has State winning 45-17. If Ole Miss and State played tomorrow, what would the score be? There's one for you. Kyle, thank you. Kyle is a Mississippi State fan, y'all, living in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Listening to the radio up here in Arkansas, Arkansas believes that they will be able to run the ball against State and allow Franks to throw against us. And he says they also are lauding their defense and think they can shut down the passing game. Well, we'll see about that. Now,
if you don't believe that and you're them, there's no reason to come play the game, right?
Yeah. Why even play it? I'll tell you this. I agree with the first part of that. They will be able to run the ball some. They have a very good back. They will be able to run it some, and they will try to run it some. No question about it. Ain't no doubt. That's what they're going to try to do. You know, you get in a drop back game, you're just going to stay in the pocket and go shotgun and 4 wides all the time. What? State went out and got 7 sacks against LSU. They don't want to do that. Arkansas doesn't. So they're going to run the ball some, try to manage your front so you can get play action stuff and allow big-armed Felipe Franks to throw it deep down the field and get some big plays. They tried a few of those against Georgia, hit one of them early, took an early lead. So I agree with that part of it. As far as, their defense played hard for 4 quarters. They didn't play well, but they played hard for 4 quarters. They didn't quit. They were a little more physical than what we saw last year. And I know this, Barry Odom is an outstanding defensive coach. The former Missouri head coach is now their defensive coordinator at Arkansas. And so they're going to have a good plan, and they'll play hard. Yeah, and they got film and all. So, but they look. Let me make a bold statement, y'all. Kyle, if what they are saying is they are going to shut down State's pass game, no, they're not. They're not going to shut down State's pass game. They're just not. The fact is they absolutely have their hands full with State's offense. That we haven't even seen what that offense might be able to do when they go into a game with even a 15% of their game plan to run the ball with Kylan Hill. Sven said that if Ole Miss and State played tomorrow, it'd be a shootout, 48-40. Can you imagine? 90 points, 100 points in a ball game. I'm sure it would be set, something like that. Hey, coming up in just a bit, we're going to catch up with Bart Gregory. We talk about one of the high school games, but we're also going to look at State, kind of start there. He and Charlie Winfield did the pregame, postgame shows on the radio network for us at Mississippi State, and I thought he and Charlie nailed it in some of their postgame analysis last week. And so we'll get into some of that as soon as we get Bart on the phone in just a bit. But y'all feel free to call and text. The Davini Equipment phone line is 995-1059. 995-1059. We were talking, real quick, Kentucky, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a big edge in the all-time series. Ole Miss won a couple of years ago when they went up there. Close game, but Ole Miss went to Lexington and won. Headed back up there this weekend with this reshuffled schedule. What does Mark Stoops, the head coach at Kentucky, think about Matt Corral, defending Matt Corral? This is what Mark Stoops said about that yesterday.
Well, you saw a very talented player, and obviously in a system that's very good. And you look at what their OC did, Levy did a year ago at UCF, and you see that carried right over as far as I think last year is one of only two coordinators in the country to throw for over 300 a game and rush for over 200. And you saw that carry over this year, rushing for 170 against Florida is as impressive as throwing for 440 or whatever it was. So they put a lot of stress on you. And Corral, I think, is very talented. He made some really impressive throws. I think they have a system that puts a lot of pressure on you. So it's a good combination for the two of them.
That's Mark Stoops looking ahead to defending Matt Corral and Ole Miss. More on that in a bit. All right, now flip that switch. Let's go back over to Starkville. State going to host Arkansas this weekend. Big win over LSU. Well documented and all at that point. Now let's talk about that and look ahead to this weekend with the Hogs coming into town with Bart Gregory on the radio right now on the Davini Equipment phone line. You hear Bart's voice anytime it seems like you watch or listen to a Mississippi State sporting event of any kind. And he's obviously the host of pregame, postgame show for Mississippi State football on our radio network. Bart, welcome, man. Appreciate a little time here on a Thursday, man. 2 days away from football in Davis-Wade. Can you believe it?
I'll tell you what, man, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, I didn't know if we'd get here. But, yeah, it's a crazy time, man. A lot of fun. And, you go on the road and you play as well as you did. And, of course, with a limited crowd, with 25% in the stands. And then, people had the option of trying to opt out, throughout the summer. And, you get to your numbers. And now all of a sudden everybody and their brothers call and say, hey, I know you got some room. Slide me in for some tickets.
Yeah.
I wish it weren't like that, but it doesn't,
Mm-hmm. Well, and, heck, at the end of yesterday's show, Bart, right at the very end of it, right around 3 o'clock is when JB said, hey, Matt, the governor just announced he's, in high schools, they're going from 25% to 50%. And we started speculating. We're going, well, is it just high school? Is it college stuff? All that? I mean, have you caught any wind whatsoever of that 25% for college stadiums changing anytime soon here in Mississippi?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's I think that's just something we're going to find out from executive order to executive order.
Yeah,
and you're just kind of not sure because you're dealing with a mass volume of people, and everything is televised, and so then all of a sudden it brings into perception and things of that nature. So
sure,
I don't see it. They kept it at 25. I don't foresee it in the near future.
Okay. Bart, you and Charlie, I went back and got to listen to some of the post game that you guys had. And
I'm sorry.
Well, no, it was great. And there was one thing in there that really resonated with me, and I thought, boy, that's exactly right. I thought you nailed it. You said that you came away from that game feeling like LSU was a little overconfident, kind of in everything they were doing and trying to do. Explain to me what you meant by that.
Well, it's I thought, you know, and I don't like to take shots at coaches. I don't do that. I leave that up to, you know, a lot of the fans out there. I thought what Mo Pelini and their defense tried to do was a little bit of bravado. We're going to line up. We're going to press you with man, and we've got better athletes. And dadgummit, you know, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us against the man. Mm-hmm. You know, that's allowed you to go up top probably more. And Mike Lee said that after the game. I was kind of surprised how much man they played. And just the lack of getting out of that. You know, you start talking about in-game adjustments, and really good coaches make in-game adjustments. I didn't think LSU made those adjustments at all on the defensive side. So I think that was the thing we were referring to is, you know, yeah, you won a national championship last year. You had a lot of success, and yes, you lost a lot of guys, and CBS let us know all day the other day how many guys they lost.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, it's a lot about scheme. And, you know, I had a chance to talk with Rick Neuheisel, you know, earlier this week about defending Mike Leach. And he says, you know, here's the thing about Mike's offense. Mike's going to do what he's going to do. It's all about how you defend it and how you game plan to try to stop him. And even, you know, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think there's a lot of people in college football that are kind of surprised how LSU never came out of that man-to-man.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I wonder if there was any other surprise for you. Okay, so if it was a surprise what LSU didn't do, were there any things that surprised you that y'all talked about in the post game that maybe you, with State's effort, offense and defense, what'd you come away thinking after that ball game?
Well, first of all, I think we're a lot more physical football team that a lot of people wanted to give us credit for. And when you bring a coach in to run the air raid, the first thing you think of is, okay, we're about to get softer, especially on the defensive side. I thought Zach Arnett did a great job. I thought he had a good game plan the other day. It was kind of a bend don't break, but you know he brought a lot of twists. He brought pressure, but we played with an edge. Mm-hmm. I mean, we played with an edge the other day and hit hard. It was a tremendous effort. I mean, the effort on the defensive side to me was what was phenomenal. And yeah, LSU put up 34 points. But I'll tell you what, just the way that it didn't seem like anybody was out of position. And I know you can go back and watch film and say, okay, we were out of position here and there, and it's a lot easier for coaches to do. But I'll tell you this, man, you didn't have many breakdowns. And if you did have some breakdowns on the backside, the front seven gave you enough pressure. I thought our front seven, with the aggressiveness and just the edge that they played with, was one of the things I was like, oh my.
Mm-hmm. I was the same way, you know, and I'll be honest with you, Bart, I've been going to practice, you know, and I still didn't come away from some of those scrimmages knowing that I was going to see that type of effort and physicality and tackling, you know, the sureness of the tackling. They had like what looked like to me a handful of missed tackles on the defensive side. So, I mean, it definitely was encouraging all the way around, no question about it. And real quick, I know we'll get a couple of hours of yours and Charlie's thoughts during the pregame on Saturday. Here it is Thursday, though. Kind of give me a sneak peek of kind of what you're thinking we will see with Arkansas coming in that we'll hear y'all talk about in the preview on the pregame show.
Well, you know, they've got Rakeem Boyd. I mean, they're a team that you think they'd want to run with Rakeem Boyd, who rushed for some yards last year against State. You know, Felipe Frank's the quarterback. I mean, he threw for 200 yards in the game on Saturday. But I think I saw a stat where 78% of the passes that he attempted in the game this past Saturday against Georgia were for less than 10 yards. And so they're going to try to make you miss some tackles. And I think that's one of the things that was really surprising. Going back to that first question you asked a minute ago about things that really surprise you, just the simple nature of tackling, and like you brought up just a second ago, because I look around college football and I watch a lot of games, and you think about how many missed tackles that you see.
Right.
Look at how many yards we got on offense after an LSU missed tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought tackling, that was just such a big thing the other day. I think that's going to be a big thing for Arkansas defensively, but it's going to be a big thing for us offensively as well. It's just to come up with some stops for Rakeem Boyd and force Arkansas to try to throw the football down the field.
Yeah. You mentioned the missed stuff. I just have to throw this one last thought out, Bart. I saw where Ed Ogeron pointed out that State had 380 yards after the catch in the ball game. Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so perspective on that. How many games in our lifetime has Mississippi State played and as a team come nowhere near throwing for 380 yards total?
I know it. Hey, so to me, that's two things. I want to ask you that question, being a former quarterback, Matt. I mean, the first thing you think is, man, our receivers did a great job, and they did. They did a great job after the catch the other day. But how much of that is attributed to the quarterback of putting it where they are in stride and they can turn upfield in a hurry? They didn't have to hitch to get going upfield.
Hey, look, I mean, it's to make an extreme parallel. Go back and watch highlights of when Joe Montana was throwing the ball to Jerry Rice for the 49ers, right? I mean, you see all these highlights of Jerry Rice running down the field. It's not like he was a 4-4 guy making all those guys miss. A lot of it was he had a running start, and Montana's walking it out there and handed it to him in perfect stride where he doesn't even have to check up. Think about this, Bart. Think about Tua Tagovailoa throwing that slant so perfectly to Alabama receivers the last couple of years where they turn a 6-yard slant into a 70-yard touchdown, right? Because they never even have to stay. If it's Matt Wyatt throwing it, I make the guy turn around and we make 6 yards, maybe. Or it gets batted and it's intercepted. It's one of those two options, but those guys are accurate. You're exactly right. It's a big deal.
Hey, and going back to Arkansas, Arkansas, if you look at what the blueprint was out west about stopping Mike Leach, it was rushing 3 down guys, dropping 6 in the shallow coverage with 2 high safeties, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, good luck doing that with Callum Hill in the backfield.
I'm serious. Like, you can't just willingly go in there and do that. Back off. Because then he's going to eat you alive, and you know it going into the game. It's a really good point. Bart Gregory on your radio. Hey, Bart, with a couple of minutes, 3 minutes left here, I think I'm going to go watch Noxapater at Nanawaya tonight. What do I need to know about that rivalry?
Well, here's the thing, Matt. First of all, do not mention my name when you go in the gate, okay? Because it's either going to go one way or two ways. One is somebody's going to put their arm around you and say, man, let me tell you something. You got to be a good old guy. Or somebody's just going to punch you in the face.
Okay.
And so there's no in between. Now, Nanawaya Noxapater, I grew up, I graduated with 33 in my senior class, man, and Noxapater was the same size as Nanawaya. They used to play that game. That rivalry started back in the 50s, and they used to play that game on Thursday night in Louisville simply because there were so many fights on Friday night during the game and in the stands, and so they felt like they could police it better at Louisville. So the rivalry went back to campus, back in the 1980s. And Nanawaya just always had a tough time beating Noxapater. I mean, they just ran up a huge record. But Nanawaya's had a lot of success lately, and here's the thing about it, man, and you know how it is. You go to small town Mississippi or small town Alabama, wherever, it's a little bit of a blue collar. It's just playing with a chip on your shoulder. I'm proud of where I'm from, man. I'm very proud of growing up 42 miles from this office I'm sitting in right now. There's some good people down there, good people in Nanawaya, some really good people in Noxapater too. And so, last year they met for the North Half Championship, the first time in the history of the schools they ever played in the playoffs against each other, and they played for the North Half Championship. And I was there for that one, and it was wall to wall. It was crazy, but no, people treat you well. That's the thing when you walk in the gate, you'll be treated nice.
One of our listeners texted me yesterday, and he said that if I go, he wants me to stop by Woody's in Noxapater. Says it's the best chicken in the state of Mississippi.
Hey, so funny story, real quick. Brad Peterson, of course, who's our football high school relations guy. He's from Winston County as well, from Louisville. And when Mike Leach was hired, one of the first places they were on the road recruiting or whatever, and they stopped by Woody's in Noxapater, which has really good chicken. But Woody's has every trinket known to man. They've got pottery, they've got glass, they've got all kind of things in there, shirts, whatever. And anyway, Mike Leach and Brad Peterson went into Woody's, and I think from what Brad said, Mike Leach looked at every single thing in the store, and it took him about 45 minutes. And he was like, "This place is amazing," and said nobody knew who he was.
That's great. Hometown stuff, man. That's great. Well, I'm going to try to go in there today, and I'll tell them that you sent me, and I'll see if I get a discount. How about that?
Well, that's Shane Reed's dad. Woody is Woodrow Reed, who is Shane Reed's dad. Shane owns Strange Brew in Starkville and in Tupelo.
Yes, Lord of mercy, I didn't know that. So now I'm tying it all
a long
together.
time ago, the long time ago, the gas station here. Hey, when we were in school, it was Woody's on the corner.
That's right.
And now it's Strange Brew.
I'm just now making that connection. That's exactly right.
There you
really
go.
Cool stuff. Bart, appreciate you, man. We'll see you this weekend.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, man.
Yep, same here. Thank you. That's Bart Gregory. Y'all follow him on Twitter, @BartGregory. And you'll hear him on Saturday, pregame, postgame host on the Mississippi State Network. You also hear him when you watch baseball games on the SEC Network Plus. Basketball games for Mississippi State. Does a little bit of everything. Volleyball, soccer, a little bit of everything. Great guy from Nanawaya. 1A football tonight, small town. Can't wait. Hope to see y'all out there. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Stick around. Your texts coming up next.
Nothing.
I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that we're going to win tonight. I will say, Germantown's going to be a tough out for everybody this year. I don't blame you for picking Lawrence Central. History shows they'll win the game tonight, but I think we'll play them tougher than what people think we will.
And now Warren Central's good. Warren Central's good. Solid team. Like Germantown, this is the year they could do something. That's one of the biggest games tonight. If I could be at a game, that's where I would be. I'll be headed to Vicksburg tonight. Get to check out Warren Central hosting Germantown. Big 6A ball game. And, Germantown loaded with really good players. They're off to a 3-0 start. Warren Central, 3-0. It's a huge matchup. I can't wait to see that one tonight.
Cause I think we're going goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline. Goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline.
Everyone's starting the regional play tonight. Now Nick Barnes, I think, is going to check into the game alongside Branson Robinson. Barner in shotgun formation. He's going to go to Nick. Nick gets a hold, and he breaks it to the 30, up to the 29-yard line. I'm looking for a big game for Nick tonight.
Thompson again, first and goal. Up and over. Is he in? Side judge running in. Touchdown, Vikings. There's the call. Late signal,
Right route, no trip.
There's the give. Trey Hall sweeping right side. Gets the block from the wide receiver. He's in the secondary. Down the right sideline. The chase is on. 30, 25, 20. Nobody's going to catch him. Trey Hall to the end zone. Touchdown. 80-plus yards for the Vikings.
86-yard run that time by Hall to
side. Here's the snap. They give it to TJ. Ball is on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Germantown says they have it. Germantown bench went nuts. Germantown does have the football. Everybody in tight for the Vikes. Quick drop. It's deflected in the air. Taylor Smith again. He's done it again. A pick six for Smith.
Second one of the season, Jared. He had one a couple of weeks ago, and Taylor Smith takes it in.
district, the Vikings win 23-10 over the Germantown Mavericks.
Great job by the Vikings tonight. You saw the halftime adjustments by Coach Josh Morgan and his team.
It's huge for right now. It's huge for down the road, guys. You set yourself up very nicely. Now, what we have got to focus on is we're going to enjoy this son of a gun. You hear me? We're going to enjoy it, guys. We're going to relish it. And we're coming back, and we're getting ready to get
Really
better.
outscored Germantown as they came out. Great defensive plays from Taylor Smith and Tevin Bell. And a wonderful job to close out this game for the Big Red.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show. Live in the studio. Online at thezone1059.com. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right, back with you, rolling along here on this Thursday. I don't know about you, but I guess it's because we're into the SEC games and there's so much more to get into each week. We had the games last week, so we're reviewing and previewing this week. So the week to me has seemed to go by quicker. Like it's really going by fast. The way it seems to me anyway. So if the show's going by fast, well, it'd be apropos for the week. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all your texts. I'm coming to your text messages on the Country Pleasing text line. First, though, Jeff, who called earlier, has called back and hanging on. I appreciate that. Jeff on the Davini Equipment phone line. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, Matt, what is Coach Leach's radio call-in show?
It is. They call it Dog Talk. It's tonight. It's every Thursday night. They do it live downtown Starkville at the Greater Starkville Development offices. You know, like the tourism deal. And I think like there's big giant windows and glass, and so like people can walk up as they're doing the show. They have it set up and everything there. But I think it's tonight at 7.
Yeah, it'll be on WRKS, this station, 105.9, The Zone, at 7 o'clock tonight.
7 o'clock tonight. There you go, Jeff.
Well, the reason why I asked is I had the pleasure of listening to Sam Pittman's show last night, and it was transmitted from the Catfish Hole in Arkansas. Now, does that not sound like someplace in Arkansas, the Catfish Hole?
Yeah, man, it really does. I guarantee you, the fish and the hush puppies and the slaw are good at that place, wherever that is.
Don't you know he was knocking them back?
I guarantee you.
But they had a caller called in, and he said, Coach Pittman, how are you going to be able to keep up with that high-flying offense? And, because LSU couldn't do it. And he had a good response in that, it's going to be kind of like when we used to run those four corners in basketball. He said it's just that if you look at Georgia, they had probably the best defense in the country. And that front seven, they just kept rotating them in and out. He said Mississippi State's defensive linemen are undersized. And he said they don't have the depth that Georgia does. Mm-hmm. And he said with our running a game and our offensive line, we're going to try to hold the ball and keep it out of that high-flying offense. Mm-hmm. He says, however, when they do get the ball, we looked and saw what Washington was doing with rushing 3 and having 8 back. He says, however, Washington never faced a Kylan Hill. So he said, we're getting back 3 new defensive backs, so we're going to rush 3 and have a spy on Hill and then have 7 back.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, he's got this figured out. And then he went on to say, he says, without that upset of LSU, he said, you look at the FPI with ESPN, we were like a 47, 46% to win that game. He said, so, he said, it's not like we're going to walk in there scared.
Yeah.
What do you think about his strategy on handling the dogs on Saturday? And I'll hang up and listen.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Great call. Appreciate that info. I wish I had heard it. I mean, I don't think he's blowing any smoke at all. None whatsoever. I don't think he's blowing any smoke at all. I think he's letting you in on just the base plan. And I say base because, you go in there with that philosophy. One reason, Jeff, that Sam Pittman is perfectly willing to just say that on the radio for anybody that wants to hear it, including you, a State fan, and State coaches, if they wanted to listen to it, is because State knows that's what they're going to do. They know it too. And it's just, look, I didn't even hear the Sam Pittman call-in show. I started doing interviews with people around the Southeast and stuff on Monday after State's win on different radio shows, and I'm saying the same thing because it's really obvious, is for Arkansas to win the game, they got to make it a 4-quarter game. They must not give up the explosive plays that LSU did and yards after the catch. So how do you do that? Well, you back up. You give more cushion. You play more zone. You rush less people, get more people involved in coverage. You stretch everything out, which opens up underneath throws, right? And you depend on your pass rush. All right, there it is. Well, see, Washington did it. There were many years where Washington did that, where Washington's personnel was up here and Washington State's was down here. Okay, and they won out with great defensive linemen. Washington had one team that had 3 starting defensive linemen all drafted into the NFL, all 3 of them, that played, the majority of the snaps in the ballgame. And in the SEC, we know we play teams like that, right? I don't know that Arkansas is that way. See, and that's one thing he's pointing out to you right there is if Arkansas had 3 fire-breathing guys that are going to play first and second down and rotate them all throughout the game that are all going to go to the NFL, they may just back off and drop 8 and say, go get them, boys, all 3 of you, and just fire off the ball and go get the QB. Well, it's not going to be that simple because of Colin Hill, right? So now we got to get somebody involved for him. So all that to say, it absolutely sounds exactly, apropos. They've got to run the ball with their offense to test State's front 7, the strength of it. If you're able to run the ball, soften it up, start moving them around, now it opens up the opportunity for the big throws down the field. And you keep their State's offense off the field. And you shorten the game. Arnett and those guys know it. They know it. Yeah, and you say undersized. Well, I don't know that State's undersized at nose tackle, but they're a 3-man front with pass rushers. Is kind of what they are. And then they get linebackers and other people involved in the run game. So for them, when you say they're undersized, that tells me their running game is not going to be anything outside of either tackle. Their running game is fixing to be right at you. And they're going to test State's depth on their defensive front. After watching that game, Saturday, I think anybody could probably point to that and know that's probably what they're going to do. White Denzel on the Country Pleasing text line. Thanks for the call, Jeff. White Denzel says, Matt, SEC football is nice and all, but Mississippi JUCO football starts tonight. You're right. Kahoma at Itawamba tonight. Colin goes to Southwest. East Central at Jones. Gulf Coast at Pearl. Holmes is at Northeast up in Boonville, and Mississippi Delta will go to Northwest in Senatobia. East Mississippi, Mississippi Gulf Coast not playing. I knew that East Mississippi decided not to have a season. Did Gulf Coast do the same thing? So you do have the JUCO game starting tonight. And thanks for that heads up. The Phoenix on the Country Pleasing text. Hey, Matt, I've not been listening for a while. I have noticed that Jackson, senior producer, has changed dramatically from when I used to hear him on the other program. I can only assume that's because his wings. I don't know who you're talking about or what you're talking about, honestly. Phoenix, you might have meant that for someone else. I don't really know what that is. The Real Eric says, I was at the 2005 Ole Miss Kentucky game. Snoozer, especially since the week before Alabama came to Oxford and it was a close win for Alabama, 13-10. Won it with the last-second field goal, 2005. Ready Teddy says, as an Ole Miss guy, it is rough on me right now. I was just accepting that State hired my favorite coach in Mike Leach, and now State has signed a deal with Country Pleasing. Golly, man! We mentioned that. Country Pleasing is now the official sausage of Mississippi State athletics. And you go to a ball game, you can get Country Pleasing sausage right there at the game. Don't you know I'm happy? I don't have to just eat it in the parking lot now. I can go down to the concession stand and get some, or send somebody there to get some. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, I said this about Pig U before the season. He's talking about Arkansas. He calls them Pig U. He said, and I certainly believe it to be true after that Georgia game, they'll be better if for no other reason than the fact that it can't possibly be any worse than they were under Chad Morris. Jason, I wholeheartedly 100% concur. 100% agree with you on that. He couldn't have been worse than Arkansas was last year. And, you look at him the other day. Look, and Barry Odom is an outstanding defensive coach. When he was a defensive coordinator at Missouri under Gary Pinkel, and they went to 2 SEC championship games when they came into the league, he couldn't have had a better reputation. They'll be ready. This game ain't going to look at all like that one against LSU did. Just get ready for that. Slippery when Rhett says, I am fairly unbiased, and I could see Leach putting 63+ up on the board against Ole Miss. The Rebels still lack leadership, character development, and situational confidence. Dadgum, how about that list, JB? Real leadership.
Yeah, he did a good job with that. I read that a while ago, and I thought, man, you could be a writer.
Real leadership, character development, and situational confidence.
Yeah.
He says, when that train comes rolling through, you better not get caught flat-footed, disorganized, and fearful. Thanks, Rhett. Ole Miss is good on offense now. And they got players on offense, and that kid can throw it. And they've got a coach who knows it. 2 of them. Defensively, I don't know they have players. Just today when I was eating lunch, I went and turned on. They were replaying the game on the SEC Network, Ole Miss and Florida. The game had just started. I watched the first part of it. There's Kyle Trask back there completing his first few throws and took him down and then completed one of the tight end for a touchdown. And I'm watching it, and man, you can't possibly have a cleaner pocket than Kyle Trask had. 3-man rush or 4-man rush, and he's back there by himself, and there's no chance anybody even laying a finger. You can't be more.
He had all morning long to throw.
All day, JB. Yeah. You can't be more comfortable in the pocket than he was.
No. Well, he flung it.
I mean, they've got to get pass rush.
Yeah, real quick. Couldn't find any info on Scuba Tech, but I am efforting JUCO Wheatley to figure out the games
for tonight.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, y'all stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
We're 5G ready.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with autopay and paperless billing. Even without autopay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? country pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing Sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show. Nobody breaks down quarterback play better than him. And he's right here, right now, online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Lots and lots of texts that are interesting to get to today on the Country Pleasing text line. A few things that I have in the bag here that I want you to, and there's a pun in there somewhere. Will asked me what I thought about Ole Miss's sideline money bag that's got to be worth at least a touchdown. Yeah, I like it. I mean, they do turnover chains and, different things and dunking on the sideline, and they got a money bag. So, to each their own. No, I got a few things in the bag here I want you to hear. Steve Spurrier Jr., a really telling illustration in something he said that I think when you start peeling back the onion on that comment, I think it speaks to everybody in any walk of life. All right, so we'll get to that coming up. We might get to that in hour number 3 here in a few minutes. Also, a few comments from Sam Pittman, head coach Arkansas. He had a time of answering questions on yesterday's SEC teleconference on the phone. We'll get to that. Stoops, Kiffin was on there. You know what? In fact, I'm going to go ahead and play you the Kiffin thing. JB?
Yes, sir.
In this sound clip, this comes directly from yesterday's SEC coaches teleconference. They all have a slot about 15 minutes apart where media people on the phone can ask them a question, get their questions answered by every SEC head coach if they can get in. They all have a certain slot. Lane Kiffin is the last coach to be on, and it starts every Wednesday around 10 and goes until 11, 11:30, whatever it is. Lane Kiffin was asked, a quick opening statement, and then we'll get to questions. And there is no mistaking the sound that you hear either on his phone or on one of the phones of the media people who are hanging online to ask him a question. There's no mistaking what you hear. Now listen closely.
Well, challenge with playing a really good team that's very physical and it runs the ball really well, and played great defense last year and in the first game, and limit explosive plays and as a team. So a lot at stake here. Need to play well.
There is no mistaking that.
Man, I had that sound when I did baseball announcing for Clinton, and when some kid would go down 3 straight strikes, I would hit that flush.
It'd flush him. Listen, my theory is that it was not a toilet; it was a urinal, and my theory is that it was Lane, because if you notice, there was a pause there It's not like he kept talking. He heard the flush and paused, waited for the flush to basically finish, and then kept going. I don't know if you noticed that, but he waited on it.
Played great defense last year and in the first game, and limit explosive plays and. As a team, so a lot at stake here. Need to play well.
I think Lane did it just to mess with everybody. I absolutely think that.
I have no doubt. Did he have his Lane for Governor shirt on?
The Leach for Governor? I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I tell you what, that's a priceless sound.
Maybe LFG stands for what? Lane flushed good? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, there's no mistaking what that was. It was absolutely a toilet flush of some kind. All right, here we go. Let me get to your text. Let's do that right now. On the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. Pat says, Bart is right. When Cream Brulee popped Miles on the first drive of the game, Brennan had the old big eyes the rest of the ball game. And who was it? Yeah, it was, on that note, Rebel Tiger Dog said, I love the quote from Steve Spurrier Jr. last week, announce your presence with authority or the man across from you will. And then he says, an FYI, the Leak Academy Rebels will be back on the field looking to go 7-0 tomorrow night at home versus Washington School after they had their game last week versus Park Place canceled. Go Rebels and Hail State, he says. All right, MW 24/7. Okay, he said, I asked this earlier, wanted to hear your thoughts. I'm down from my high in Saturday's LSU game. I hope moving forward it is not feast or famine with Leach. You said, I hope he does not out-coach himself. Still, Hail State, always 9 more games to go, Hail State. Look, MW 24/7, go and read a link if you have a subscription to The Athletic. There's a neat article there, some quotes. They interviewed Hal Mummy after State won that game, and because the premise of the story was that he was getting a lot of phone calls from other coaches around the country about the whole air raid offense deal and all this kind of stuff. But the whole premise of the article, I tweeted it. It's on my timeline, so just look for it there. I'm Radio Wyatt on Twitter. The whole base of the article is it's simple. There aren't a lot of plays. It's quicker to install, therefore. It's easier to install. Then it's just a matter of repetitions in practice to get it right. And what it boils down to is he says most coaches get bored and they start adding stuff and adding stuff and adding stuff, and they take away from the beauty of the offense, and that is how simple it is. So if all of that is true 24/7, then that wouldn't coincide with that coach out-coaching himself if you've got something that's simple. So we got to, see how it goes. Dennis said, old JB really rocking the bumper music. Had to pull the earphones out to prevent permanent hearing loss.
If it's too loud, you're too old.
Yeah, turn it up to 11, man. That's our whole philosophy. Denzel, Mississippi Gulf Coast plays Pearl River tonight. Did I miss that when I read it? Let me see here.
Well, we got you got 13 teams
that
are playing.
You
have 15 junior community colleges in Mississippi. Meridian being one of them, but they don't play football.
Well, but see, I only see 12 games.
Yeah, well, there's only 12 teams tonight. Hines has a bye tonight.
Okay.
So there's only 13 teams playing this year.
Right, I got you.
Scuba is not playing.
Right. They're the one. Why are they the one JUCO that decided they could not play?
I have been searching for the last 20 minutes trying to find info on that, and the latest thing I found was July 7th of this year. So that's just announcing that the Mississippi Association of Community Colleges football will not be playing their regular schedule. But when you got Coahoma at Itawamba, Colin at Southwest, Holmes at Northeast, East Central at Jones, Mississippi Delta at Northwest, and Mississippi Gulf Coast at Pearl River tonight.
Yeah.
So Hines has a bye this week.
Okay. All right. Cool. Got it. Thank you. All right. True Maroon says, what is he saying here? He's only an Ole Miss fan because they say, "Are you ready?" And he says, "Well, yeah, I'm ready, Teddy." It does play nicely, doesn't it? It really does play nicely. All right, my friend Joel Coleman, who is he covers Mississippi State for Sports Illustrated, and he's a huge Braves fan. And it's hard to believe it, but he probably is a bigger Braves fan even than I am. Just tweeted something about Marcell Ozuna, and it looks like the Braves are up 3-0. Now, I don't know if that was a home run or what, but the Braves have taken a lead in the playoff game, y'all. And they win this one, they'll move on. What's next? Jason in Flagstaff texted the show. He says, "I hope Pig U plays zone and backups. Leach will most likely counter that with a few more handoffs to Hill." Right. A few more swing passes where one of those 5 or 6 little DBs are expected to tackle that monster with a full head of steam. Right. And listen, let me say it again. Y'all do this. For those that really want to try to, challenge yourself to kind of learn and then see what you're seeing on Saturday. Remember, I'm telling you this. There was a game against Oregon. I think it was the year that Gardner Minshew was a quarterback for Washington State. So you're talking about a couple of years ago. I think it was at Oregon, but regardless, it was a pretty good defense they were playing. Oregon backed everybody off, soft cushion everywhere out on the corners, zone coverage, safeties backed off, and are going to try to come after you with 3 or 4 defensive linemen. And there were times in that game that were obvious pass rush situations, and they called screens. Screen after screen after screen after screen of different kinds, different looks. And what it was doing is these 4 linemen are firing off the ball coming after the quarterback. Linemen are popping them and turning them loose to go. We catch a screen right over their head, and now all this defense is backed off out here at 8 yards. We throw a little screen to the running back right behind them. They go connect, and we've made 7 yards on a screen pass before the defense even gets to the wall of blockers of linemen on the screen. They threw like 8 or 9 of those in that game, and they really used them to sort of win the guessing game or the chess match, if you will, against that defense. Okay, you're going to depend on pass rush and back everybody off. Well, the easiest completion I can get is when I let you come get me on purpose, and just before you get here, I dump it over your head to my running back, who makes 4 yards if he steps on his own toe. So, remember I told you that. Go back and watch that game. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Hour 3 is coming up. You're going to hear from Steve Spurrier Jr. You're going to hear from Sam Pittman, what he said yesterday. We're going to have a one for the Wayback Machine from the television days, way back when, JB. It's really going to ring a bell with you for sure. And a lot of...
trying to be punny?
No, not that I know of. Let me think.
So it wasn't Saved by the Bell?
Well, it could be. No, it's not Saved by the Bell, but it could be punny. So stick around to find out. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Stay with us.
To Biggersville up in Alcorn County tonight. 1A Biggersville, they're 2-0 this year. Scored 60 points in their ball game last week, so they're off to a really good start. Been by there a bunch. You can see the school and the field from the highway. There's a school, a water tower, a barbecue place, and a Dollar General, and a lot of really good folks.
I started at Biggerville in the 2nd grade in 1966, and I've been here since the 2nd grade. So people in Biggerville have been so good to me. And the good Lord, I'm just really blessed by what I've been able to experience. After school Thursday, there was 28 kids out there, and we counted the orders after. We're just blessed to support the school, and they sure support me.
This is the busy night, like everyone's coming.
It's a close-knit community. I mean, they love the kids, and like I said, I've been in Biggerville for 60 years, and it's just a great place. I mean, great place to raise your family and kids and support the school.
Smithville, who's always kind of been a 1A powerhouse, hasn't played yet this year. They haven't been able to really even practice as much because of COVID. So kind of an interesting dynamic because Biggersville has never beaten Smithville. At least that's what I'm told. So it's actually a huge opportunity for that community.
I was supposed to say
I'll take
next week.
hamburger and
Monday.
Coke. You got any chips?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's game between the Biggersville Lions and the Smithville Seminoles. And what a game we have in store tonight as the 2-0 Lions take on the 0-0 Smithville Seminoles.
Well, let's see if the Lions can get their run game going with senior number 23, Goldman Butler.
So tonight's matchup getting ready to take place as the Biggersville Lions won the toss. They have elected to defer to the second half. We thank you all for tuning in to tonight's ball game.
Of course, Smithville brings tradition that people long for, and that's kind of what we long for here. You know, again, we're building it, but they've kind of set the standard, especially in 1A in North Mississippi and across Mississippi in general. So yeah, it's exciting. To my knowledge, they've told me we've never beaten them. So what an accomplishment that would be, and that's what we shoot for, and just to kind of set the tone for the whole season for bigger and better things, hopefully.
Bowler got a couple of blocks. He's going to bust through. He's going to break free. One man to beat. Breaking tackle. And will finally get pushed out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. So a great job right there for the Biggersville Lions. Rousey shotgun takes snap and hands it off to Butler once again. Butler up the middle. Got the blocks. Going to be handed off to Butler. Round to the left side and he'll bust into the end zone. Bowler around to the left side, and he'll walk into the end zone once again. As the Lions would take a commanding 14-0 lead early on here in this ball game.
That looks great. Way to go. Good job, guys. Way to go.
It's a hometown. It's just a big family. Everybody here knows everybody. Friday night over the last 4 or 5 years has just increasingly become more and more exciting. You know, our team, these kids have grown to start in 8th grade and 9th grade as freshmen and played a lot of football and come a long way. This is a pretty good crowd. You know, we were limited on the number of tickets we can sell, so obviously normally there would be a lot more people here. But yeah, they definitely got a good crowd tonight.
Take snap and they're going to go to the air. They're going to throw deep. They might have a man. Intercepted again.
By number 8, Jarrell Jones. That's the second pick of the game.
2 3-and-outs, 2 interceptions for the Lions. They are turning on all cylinders tonight here, Devin, as they will get the ball back once again. Another opportunity here to score. Here is the clock going to tick down 2-0. The Lions are going to take a dominant victory over the Smithville Seminoles, 64-0.
And I do think that this could be the Lions' year as they show dominance in their first 3 games, but it's still pretty early.
A great game tonight for the Biggersville Lions. We thank you all for joining us here. Signing off from the Lions Den. Final score is 64-0. The Biggersville Lions win. This is Lions sportscaster Aiden McAllister, joined with me by Devin Bullock. We thank you all for joining in. Thank you and have a good night.
Jackson. Live
in the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right. Hour 3 of the show underway, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Starkville or Stark Vegas, however you want to say it. That's where it is, Starkville. Y'all head out there and check them out. If you're going up there for any reason at all, maybe moving to Starkville, maybe you are looking at an investment property, or you're like me, you come into town for several weekends out of the year, and what you need is a place to stay for the ball game. Then check them out. That's at Overstreet Properties. OverstreetProperties.com. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. All right, here in hour number 3, I take your phone calls. I take your tweets, a bunch of tweets to get to, and got it open to you. It's 885-ESPN. That's the country pleasing text line. 885-ESPN. Text away. Call me. I'd love to hear your voice today on the Davini Equipment phone. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. 995-1059. 601 number, 995-1059. Chris is hanging on the Davini phone, going to start us off here in hour number 3. Hit me up, Chris. What's up?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Doing just right.
Love the show. No, I was calling just to kind of tag along onto what you were talking about, how simple Leach's playbook is at Starkville. I know I heard he ran, 6 passing plays and maybe 2 running plays just because they were working. He didn't need any more.
Mm-hmm.
My question was, how bad does that hurt the players having such a simple playbook? And, when they move on to, to the pros or another team with a more difficult, intricate playbook with a lot more plays, is that a hindrance or...
Did I lose you?
No, I'm sorry. I lost the word.
Yeah, it's okay.
I didn't know how that would affect them, seeing as though they've got a simple, small playbook that's pretty straightforward, and then when they go to the next level, they're going to have so much more thrown at them, a lot bigger, a lot more detail, intricacies, et cetera. I didn't know how big a downfall that would be to the players.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question, I think, because, some people might point to Mike Leach has had a bunch of players, former quarterbacks, go and get a shot at the NFL, but Minshew really is the one who's gone and had the most success early in his career in the NFL as a quarterback. A bunch of them have gone and gotten drafted and had success. I tend to answer it this way, that all players, but particularly like quarterbacks, and this is coming from me, someone who I played for a lot of different coaches at every level, it seemed like, in my playing career. So I know what it's like to go from one set of terminology to the next. I played for 4 different head coaches in 4 years of high school. I played in my 5 years at Mississippi State, I played for 3 different offensive coordinators and quarterbacks coaches. So it was just constant change. And I know, so what I would say is that any quarterback at any level, number one, you kind of have to be a chameleon. Whatever they're teaching you and whatever the terminology is, a lot of the concepts are basically the same in a lot of this stuff. But whatever they're teaching you in terms of terminology and all that kind of stuff, you kind of have to just learn it. You got to get it. Part of the reason you're playing that position is because you can learn it and get it. Okay, so I'm talking about quarterbacks. I know you said players.
Yes, sir.
And so there's just an element of you got to learn whatever. And certain players learn in different ways. There are some guys who are numbers guys. There are other guys who are pictures and words guys, and you kind of have to figure all those things out. So there's a little bit of that. I just think I wouldn't go so far as to say that having an experience of learning in and playing in a simple system hinders you in going and playing for a complicated one. It's just a different kind of challenge. It sounds like a very political type of answer, but I really think that's the right way to answer it. You know what I mean, Chris?
You just got to put the work in, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. Let's be honest. Football players are not a bunch of Einsteins running around out here. I mean, at any level. You know, they can talk about how complicated Joe Moorhead's system was. Well, it was, and it is. Okay? Costello talking about how intricate and deep the teaching was at Stanford and their pro-style stuff. Okay, well, it was and it is. But again, we're talking about football players, particularly college ones. There are not a whole lot of rocket scientists running around out there. And so all these coaches and in the NFL, they're all depending on these players to learn the terminology and then apply it when they go run a play. So just because one is simple doesn't mean those players can't go run another one. That's just kind of the way I look at it.
I gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too, man. All right, let's see. Ponto on the phone. What's up, Ponto?
Get your banana pudding and fried okra?
You know, I never did. I hadn't been down there. But I'm going to get it at some point.
I had some today. Listen, are you sure this is a 6:30 kickoff with the Razorbacks? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because that game last week was 4 hours.
I know. And it's going to be a late
I'm hoping it's a 6:30 and not 7. But what's the spread? Do you know that?
I don't. Do you?
No, I hadn't Googled it yet. But I'm assuming the Dogs are probably 10-point favorite at least.
10. Let's see here. So, you're probably right. I think maybe earlier in the week I saw something like I don't know, maybe 14 or something like that. Let me see here real quick. Hold tight.
Last I saw it was 17.
17. Yeah. All right. I'm looking at ESPN here, and it's saying State minus 17.
Oh gosh, that's a lot. I think I would probably take the Razorbacks at 17. Yep, I think I would. What's happened to Keaton Thompson? Do y'all know?
Went to Virginia, didn't win the starting job.
So he's there.
As far as I know,
he's on the sidelines like Snuff Schrader. He's on the sidelines.
Yeah, as far as I know, he is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted an update. But the banana pudding is legit, and the fried okra is legit. So you got to check it out.
I will definitely check it out, Ponto. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right. See ya. Davini Equipment phone line. Brian hanging on. What's up, Brian?
Matt.
What up?
What up? Hey, man, I was listening to the guy earlier, and I can't remember his name for some reason, about talking about how LSU came in cocky.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Landry on LandryFootball.com, that was his take exactly. He said that it looked like they came in, they were going to out-athlete Mississippi State. They were going to man up with them. And he said they didn't change defenses because Bo Pelini, and, you know, Chris Landry's pretty dialed in down there, and all his infinite wisdom, they didn't really even practice a zone of any kind. They just thought they're going to go in, which is, that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah.
That's why I think this. He also said if you want to see how to defend Mike Leach, what people need to do is look at Washington's video. You know, he beat Washington one time in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Washington Huskies.
Mm-hmm.
They had the best plan for it, but he said that, look, State's going to beat Arkansas because they're just better. And actually, State won, like he said, on the defense. The defense is why they won that game. Now, they had all the yards in the world, and Miles Brennan was just not ready. But he said that Arkansas will play them better because Barry Odom will team better. They were not going to beat them.
And who is this that you're talking about? You're referencing that said
Chris
this?
Landry football. Chris Landry. He's out of South Louisiana, but he's a national guy.
Okay. All right.
He has I think it's LandryFootball.com.
Yeah. Okay.
He does a lot of this analytics and whatnots. But
well, here's the thing about it. Let me jump in. Don't hang up because I want to hear this.
Yep. Yeah.
Not at all to poo-poo everything that he's saying, but there's several red flags that go up for me because one, they did play zone in the game. They did play some zone coverage at times in the game. So, you know, to permeate the idea that LSU under Bo Pelini never even practiced any zone coverage is just not true. It's hyperbole and maybe it's meant that way. Okay, maybe it's meant to say they spent the majority of their time and the bigger part of their game plan was to play man, but to say that they didn't practice any zone because they played zone during the game, several times. A lot of your zone responsibilities for underneath defenders, you're in zone coverage, but if a guy, let's just say like you're a flat defender in a zone coverage and a guy crosses your face, well, what are you going to do? You're going to turn and run with that guy, right? Because he's in your zone, so you're going to cover him, and people look at that and go, oh, he's in man-to-man because he ran with him. Well, no, he's not going to just stand there. If a guy comes in his zone, that's what zone coverage is. You cover him. He's in your zone.
Go with him. That's right.
So for someone to say they didn't play any zone coverage is not true, and they wouldn't play it if they hadn't been practicing it. The other thing, too, for me, they say that, Miles Brennan wasn't ready. He looked to me to be tentative in the early parts of the ball game, okay, the early parts of the game. He was a little tentative, like a little hesitant, and there were times he held the ball because he's trying to see something before he reads something.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the second, he got better as the game went on, and frankly, at times in the second quarter and certainly the third quarter, you could see why he is their starting quarterback. Okay, veteran. He's a veteran guy. He's not a Heisman guy, but he's a veteran guy, and he played pretty well. And for any quarterback, when you have no run game, less than 100 yards rushing as a team, and you are sacked 7 times in a ball game, and you still go put up 27 offensive points and well over 300 yards passing and a good percentage throwing the ball, multiple touchdowns, I'm like, what else you want the guy to do?
I agree with that. Yep.
And so people that are on him, so I would just tell you that people that are looking for answers for LSU, a lot of them are looking too hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, Matt, you and I both know if you lose 15 players to the NFL, you are not, I don't care what program it is, unless it's Nick Saban in Alabama. That's the only one, maybe Clemson. That's the only programs ever that to lose, but I don't even know if they lost 15 players to the NFL. And you lose that much talent, you're not going to come back looking like there's just no way.
That's right.
There's no way possible.
That's right.
I mean, there is no, not in this league. Now, it might have been different if they played Little Sisters of the Poor and McNeese State first 2 games. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Mississippi State's simplicity of their offense really helps them.
Mm-hmm.
When they came, you don't have to have a warm-up game because they're going to do State's going to do what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Mike Leach is going to run Mike Leach.
Right.
And I think that's where it helps them. But I do also agree that I think State wins. They probably win by 17, maybe 20 points this weekend. But I think it will look a little different with the Barry Odom run defense, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
I don't think that Arkansas doesn't have athletes, but I think they'll have a scheme a little bit better to. Like, where's Bo Pelini been in 10 years? I didn't even know he was still alive. I don't know why you get him to be a defense. I'd go get Barry Odom.
And listen, Brian, right. Exactly. If you can get Barry Odom to be, no question.
You think LSU could.
You would think they could, but here's the thing about it, Brian. Whether it's arrogance, overconfidence, kind of misjudging yourself in the mirror, whatever the case is, they got out coached because coaching, that's all part of, like, the biggest, one of the biggest parts of coaching is self-evaluation. And I've made this reference before, but like, Brian, if you take your car to a mechanic, what's the most important thing that mechanic's going to do? It's diagnosing what's wrong in the first place. Because if he gets that wrong, if he misdiagnoses a problem, you can spend $8,000 on it and it ain't still going to be fixed, right?
Well,
and
yes,
and so doubt. And here's why I'm bringing that up. I can't get away from Ed Ogeron, who's been coaching forever, who knows football. He is a good coach, who looked everybody in the eye, the week before that ball game last week and said these words. Hey, JB, I'm back. You got me?
Yeah, we got you, man.
Yeah, sorry about
Just had
that.
a little glitch.
Yeah,
it's okay, man.
it just popped out. Now it's right back on. Is Brian still with us? Is he still hanging on?
No, he checked out.
Okay. Well, anyway, and maybe he's still listening. But the point was, Coach O looked everybody straight in the face and said this.
We are so much better on defense right now than any part of the season last year.
Well, listen, that's just patently false.
Right. We said that.
Yeah. It's,
when he said that, we said it was crazy.
And it was during the week leading up to the first game. And my thing is,
right,
I wouldn't dare accuse Coach O of being a liar. He's not like lying. He's not lying. But that statement shows you coaches, a lot of times, they are in such a coaching bubble. They are so in their own world that a lot of times they will coach themselves and think themselves 180 degrees from where they should be, right?
Well, it's the exact opposite of what Snit said yesterday about the bullpen, right?
Right. Well, what he said.
He couldn't believe it. He said he couldn't believe the bullpen did that well.
Yeah, I was speechless at how well they
and
did.
It's exact opposite because he goes, and I'm like Brian. We mentioned it last week. Where has Bo Pelini been,
Mm-hmm.
It's second tour of duty there, and he wasn't very good the first time he was there. So what makes you think it's going to be even better now?
Yeah. It's just patently, and for any coach, there's no justifying Coach O saying that and actually believing it. I just can't figure out why would you say that, because he's been coaching long enough that he can't possibly believe that.
He probably just had to say it because if he told the truth, they would rip him.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess so. So, Brian, that was a great call, and I appreciated it. And people's evaluation of LSU, it's going to ebb and flow as we
It'd be interesting to see
go
how
forward.
They bounce back this week against the Commodores.
Right. It really will, won't it?
Mm-hmm. Kind of see what they're made of.
Mm-hmm. Beer Slayer on the Country Pleasing text line says the last time the Braves played the Reds in the playoffs was 1995, and that turned out pretty well. Didn't it? Chop, chop. The Braves win today, 5-0. What's up next? They're going to play the winner of... shoot, I don't know. We'll figure that out later. So anyway, they win. Braves win 5-0 today. Marcelo Zuna, outstanding offseason acquisition. He showed up big against the Braves in the playoffs last year, and today he showed up big for the Braves. Tony Joe says on the text line, is the Dog Talk Show video streamed or audio radio only? You can find it, a video stream of it, Tony, on Facebook. Okay? So you want to follow Mississippi State football. Like the Mississippi State Athletics and Mississippi State football pages on Facebook, and you'll be able to see. I see it on Facebook, and you see Neil and Coach Leach be sitting there and talking and eating and having the coaches show.
So, FYI, the Braves are the number 2 seed in the senior circuit for the playoffs.
The senior circuit.
That's right, man. And they will play the winner between the Cubs and the Marlins.
Okay. Cubs won yesterday?
I believe that. No, the Marlins are up 1-0.
Okay. So the Marlins won.
Today's game is postponed.
Okay, that's what it is. All right, so they've only played one game, and they're still waiting to play the second one.
That's correct.
Okie dokie. Sounds good. So it'll be one of those two. Doggone it. I'd so much rather lose to the Cubs than the Marlins. Isn't that a terrible way to look at it?
Yeah.
But that's just being honest. That's one of the things I thought to myself. I did not want to play the Marlins. The Braves couldn't beat the Marlins this year in the regular season, it seemed like. All right. Doggone on the Country Pleasing text says, Sam Pittman's got a good sense of humor. Reporter asked him after the Georgia loss, Coach, we've now lost 20 SEC games in a row. When do you expect us to get our first win? He calmly said, Saturday in Starkville. Next question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's it. Look to the next one, man. If you don't have confidence in yourself, why would you expect anybody else to? Bama fan. On the text, CBS games are always long, too many commercials. Yeah, that's right. They contribute also, don't they? They really do contribute to the length of the game. And matter of fact, I know leading up to that game last week, you know, you're always here, okay, 2:30 Central Time, 2:30 slot on CBS. Well, they backed the kickoff up 10 minutes, so it didn't actually kick off until like 2:40, which we were made aware of that. And we also were made aware prior to the game of one extra commercial break that had been inserted in the thing. And so, yes, you're exactly right, Bama fan. And from a Bama fan, you ought to know, huh? You've had so many of those games on CBS, you know about all those commercials. No doubt. Thanks for this stat. I don't know who it is. Unnamed texter sent it to me. Bo Pelini versus Mike Leach. Leach is 3-0 against Pelini. Beat him 37-31 in 2008, 400 yards of offense. 31-10 in 2009, 259 total yards of offense. And then, of course, this year, 44-34 with 600 yards of total offense. Braves win! Braves win! My Cubbies. If the Cubs and the Braves play, I'm going to go back and find that Mike Leach thing where he's making fun of everybody for walking around saying, my Cubbies. He said, I'm straight Indians, pulling for the Indians. That was in the 2016 World Series. All right, what did Steve Spurrier Jr. say yesterday? That's coming up. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasin' sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
a lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get you consistent reports, comprehensive reports of who's looking, how many people looked at your listing. You need to let him help you. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Call him, 601-408-5155. Hey, if you listen to the show, you know that the new third hour of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Here's what you need to know. If you're looking for a weekend home or condo, full-time residence, investment property, maybe just an apartment to lease, you got a student going to school at State, call Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. In Starkville, it's 323-8618, or look them up online, overstreetproperties.com.
Fishing for bass, okay? But he's right here, right now. Online at 1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, back with you. Rolling along here on this Thursday, I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. Hour 3 of the show presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Overstreetproperties.com. Whether you're moving up there, looking at investment property, need a place to rent, need a condo that'll be yours when you come into town for ball games, all of that and more, Overstreet Properties at Overstreetproperties.com. The Wayback Machine tells me this nugget. On this day, 1982, this show first aired on NBC. Any clues, JB?
No, man. I'm clueless.
Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, really? Remington Steele.
Remington Steele. The series starring Stephanie Zimbalist?
Zimbalist, yeah.
And
her dad was Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
Oh, really? What a name. How about that? The series blended the genres of romantic comedy, drama, detective, procedural, international political intrigue, and espionage. Oh, man, my mom used to love Remington Steele.
It was a rich man's MacGyver.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
Remington Steele. My mom loved that show, and she loved St. Elsewhere. Remember St. Elsewhere?
I do, man.
The hospital. She loved it.
So remember the show 30-something.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool show.
So there you go. There's one from the way back. Now, if we were listening to quotes from Steve Spurrier, that would be way back also. But since it's Steve Spurrier Jr.,
which amazes me how much he looks and sounds like a
Doesn't
young Yeah, a young Steve Senior.
Yeah, he's
I was watching the what you put up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And when he sat down for that interview, then got up, I was like, man, you look just like your dad.
Yeah, he's a chip off the old block for sure.
Yeah, that
no
old
question.
apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
So actually, because of that, sometimes it's hard to look past the fact that it's like watching his dad on there. But listen to what he's saying in here. I want you to hear some of the things he's saying. Okay, so evaluation of the game. He says, I think we caught the ball well.
I thought we caught the ball well. Cyrus had that one easy drop kind of right in front of him. Unfortunately, it was on second down. But other than that, the amount of balls we threw and caught I thought was pretty good, which was impressive. So we still got some work to do. But for an opening day at LSU, that was a good day for the QB especially and the wide receivers.
Okay, good day for QB wide receivers. So there was this follow-up question for him. It was, well, Coach, as far as your evaluation of your receivers in a lot of the other stuff that we don't look at, blocking, other parts of their assignments and lining up and running routes, how did you come out of there evaluating them? And he basically says, well, I already told you what we evaluate them on. Get open and catch the ball.
I tell you what, the majority of things that I give them credit for is what you saw. So running and catching the ball, getting open. I mean, there were some efforts to separate from some guys that were kind of holding on to us that we had to separate from them. But it was to get open. You got to get open to catch the ball, and I thought our guys did pretty well on that. That last touchdown that Cyrus caught down the boundary was. And again, I asked him after the game. I said, "How many times have you caught that exact play in practice?" Probably 300 times. So it was fun to watch him kind of reap the benefits of just the 10,000 balls that they're forced to catch every day and every week out there. So it was a fun day for those guys, and a lot of smiles on a lot of receivers' faces.
I made the comment in an interview or two this week with people. They're asking about State's pass game, and I'm relating it to practice. And what I said was, it's like, you hear people say, well, they outwork other people, and that's one way to look at it. But it could also be said they out-rep other people. They out-rep opponents. Just rep after rep after rep, and they do it so fast and get so many quality reps in a short period of time in their practice. It's incredible. Okay, and there he is in the middle of that answer. Okay, relating a conversation that he had with Osiris Mitchell. Says on his last touchdown, the one that was the go route, he hits him in the back corner in front of the pylon, put him at 44 points. He says he asked him, how many times have you caught that in practice? And the kid says, well, probably 300 times. That exact play.
You got to get open to catch the ball, and I thought our guys did pretty well on that. That last touchdown that Cyrus caught down the boundary was, and again, I asked him after the game, I said, how many times have you caught that exact play in practice? Probably 300 times. So it was fun to watch him kind of reap the benefits of just the 10,000 balls that they're forced to catch every day and every week out there. So it was a fun day for those guys, and a lot of smiles on a lot of receivers' faces.
That's Steve Spurrier Jr. So just the rep after rep, and a lot of that, it develops the accuracy and the connection too, but the confidence in what you're doing, knowing you're about to get the ball, knowing you're going to be open, and all those reps get you in shape. And State was outrunning those guys late in the ball game. So that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. It really is. All right. White Denzel just said on the Country Pleasing text line, he says, what Spurrier said in that clip sounds like how Joe Brady and company did with the LSU receivers last year. It sure does. It absolutely does. The stuff that they are doing is similar to that too. They're out-repping people. And it pays off. It really does. There's just something to the idea that you outwork them. And then the whole thing too of not being confused. If you've got any confusion in what you're doing, you can't do it full speed. Not to the full aggressiveness that you want to. And so eliminating the confusion, that's part of why you do all those reps and everything too. Is you just eliminate any confusion and you can go play that much better. All right, Sam Pittman, coach at Arkansas. coming to Starkville this week. He talked on the SEC coaches teleconference yesterday. Here he is talking about Mississippi State.
Well, our football team has had two really good practices at this point, and they have a great attitude. I like the way that we ran to the ball on defense. We're excited to go to Mississippi State. Man, did they look good on film. They just had an outstanding game versus LSU. Have a great running back, great quarterback, wideouts. I love their center, Cole Smith. I think he's a good player, and defensively they got 7 sacks. So certainly they had a wonderful game, and we're looking forward to going out there and competing.
Go compete. All right. So the question, how do you game plan for the air raid specifically?
Well, I mean, you have to get them on the ground. I think they'll take some underneath throws, and they'll take whatever you give them, basically, and you have to tackle them. I don't know that you can contest every throw and things of that nature, because they'll run some rub routes and some different things of that nature and get guys open. But once they get guys open, we have to get them on the ground. We have to disrupt the quarterback.
So a little bit of Sam Pittman right there. We'll have some more from him tomorrow. All right. Looking ahead to Ole Miss versus Kentucky. We talked about that matchup earlier in our head-to-head matchup preview over at Winsipedia.com. You ought to do that on some of these. If you haven't already, just go to Winsipedia.com. Wins, the letter I, pedia.com. You can compare any two teams. Some of the matchups are already right there for you on the front page. And when you click on it, you look at the historical record in the series. You can go chronological timeline and kind of compare the two schools. It's kind of neat. You got to check it out. Any two teams. And find information, background information on any team at Winsipedia.com. And we talked about that one. But I want you to hear what Stoops said about the fact that with this schedule, a couple of SEC teams, one of them's going 0-2. One of them is. And who's it going to be? We'll hear what Stoops said about that coming up. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Stick around.
Bulldog Nation knows that Starkville is Mississippi's college town, but it's also a history town, an arts and music town.
I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that we're going to win tonight. I will say, Germantown's going to be a tough out for everybody this year. I don't blame you for picking Warren Central. History shows they'll win the game tonight, but I think we'll play them tougher than what people think we will.
And now Warren Central's good. Warren Central's good. Solid team. Like Germantown, this is the year they could do something. That's one of the biggest games tonight. If I could be at a game, that's where I would be. I'll be headed to Vicksburg tonight. Get to check out Warren Central hosting Germantown. Big 6A ball game. And, Germantown loaded with really good players. They're off to a 3-0 start. Warren Central, 3-0. It's a huge matchup. I can't wait to see that one tonight.
And I think we're going goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline. Goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline.
Everyone's starting to reach the play tonight. Now Nick Barnes, I think, is going to check into the game alongside Branson Robinson. Barner in shotgun formation. He's going to go to Nick. Nick gets a hold, and he breaks it to the 30. Up to the 29-yard line. I'm looking for a big game for Nick tonight.
Thompson again, first and goal. Up and over. Is he in? Side judge running in. Touchdown, Vikings. There's the call.
that group is a trip. That's a trip.
There's the give. Trey Hall sweeping right side. Gets the block for the wide receiver. He's in the secondary. Down the right sideline. The chase is on. 30, 25, 20. Nobody's going to catch him. Trey Hall to the end zone. Touchdown. 80-plus yards for the Vikings.
86-yard run that time by Hall to
side. Here's the snap. They give it to TJ. Ball is on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Germantown says they have it. Germantown bench went nuts. Germantown does have the football. Everybody in tight for the Vikes. Quick drop. It's deflected in the air. Taylor Smith again. He's done it again. A pick six for Smith.
Second one of the season, Jared. He had one a couple of weeks ago, and Taylor Smith takes it in.
Fires over the middle behind his receiver. Incomplete. That's it. 1-0 in district. The Vikings win 23-10 over the Germantown Mavericks.
Great job by the Vikings tonight. You saw the halftime adjustments by Coach Josh Morgan and his team.
It's huge for right now. It's huge for down the road, guys. You set yourself up very nicely. Now, what we have got to focus on is we're going to enjoy this son of a gun. You hear me? We're going to enjoy it, guys. We're going to relish it. And we're coming back, and we're getting ready to get better.
Really outscored Germantown as they came out. Great defensive plays from Taylor Smith and Tevin Bell. And a wonderful job to close out this game for the Big Red.
And it's streaming right now online at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Yeah, so I was reminded about that comment from Coach O last week prior to the ball game with State.
We are so much better on defense right now than any part of the season last year.
And we were just saying, it just can't even possibly be true, and it couldn't have been true. So something was up right there. And RLD, watching the show on the live stream over on YouTube, RLD Studios said Orgeron was taking a shot at his former defensive coordinator. And, honestly, that is sort of the I think the predominant narrative on that little nugget there was that he's kind of taking a shot at Aranda, who up and took his 3-4 defense with him to Baylor. But
you know what's funny about that, Matt? When you talk about Aranda,
yeah,
you know who Aranda beat last week? What his team, Baylor?
Who did they beat?
They beat the Kansas Jayhawks, led by the grass-eating Les Miles.
Yeah, what a tangled web we weave, huh, JB?
Uh-huh.
Well, so they beat Kansas. Yeah, but it's one of those like, who has the last laugh there? I mean, why jump out there and say something like that? Okay, so let's say it is taking a shot at him, which it probably was, but why do that? Because now you look silly. Mm-hmm. He just shouldn't have done that. That's all it is. That's what it boils down to. Didn't make him good or bad or whatever. He just shouldn't have done it. Learn from it, move on, I guess.
That's a good philosophy, about making mistakes. Once you make one, try not to make the same one again.
Right. Try to
move on.
What was it, Leach? The way Leach said, he tells his players, help us to where we can coach something else.
Yeah.
We want to coach something else. I'm tired of coaching the same thing.
Yeah.
True Maroon on the country pleasing text line. Let me see if I can edit this in my head. He says, man, you didn't play the beginning of the Kiffin interview. Buddy was straight, basically saying he was in the restroom. And, again, maybe that was the beginning. I didn't catch that at the beginning. This is Lane Kiffin on the SEC teleconference on the phone call with the media yesterday. And I swear, there's just no doubt in my mind that Lane was pulling a funny one on all the media on there, which he just seems like the kind of guy that would do that just to mess with everybody. I guarantee.
Well, challenged with playing a really good team that's very physical and runs the ball really well, and played great defense last year and in the first game, and limit explosive plays. And as a team. So a lot at stake here. We need to play well.
And look, the man flushed the toilet and waited on it. If someone else was on the phone who did that, I don't think Lane stops and waits and then just picks right up where he left off. That's what I think. I think he was just having a little fun at everybody's expense.
Yeah, I think it was somewhat hyperbole that they were flushing the Florida game down the commode and we're moving on.
We got to put this behind us. Flush.
Or he might flush the question. He didn't like the question, so he flushed it.
That's great. Patrick on the Country Pleasin' Sausage text line, 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN or 885-3776. If these wide receivers keep playing like this, State is going to have to come off some money to keep Spurrier. Well, maybe so. It's interesting. He's been with Mike Leach for a long time, and he's coaching outside receivers. They got Dave Nickel coaching the insides. And heck, man, Eric Melee is the running backs coach, and he might as well be a receivers coach, right? Because they're throwing it to him. Hey, JB, you find this interesting because of the way the show ebbs and flows during the season.
Yeah.
So we had the opening weekend. We come back for our Monday show, and you saw it. I mean, there were more phone calls and text messages and messages on my live stream than you could possibly get to. There was no way.
Than we had in a month.
I mean, it's just no way to when I'm saying this, hundreds upon hundreds of texts and messages and all this stuff. Well, on the live stream of the show, which it goes out on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope all at the same time. And it
Brooks and
it brings all
Jake
those
are
comments.
How you do that.
Well, I'll show them how to do it. And I've offered to show them, but it's like, I don't know. But I'm happy to show them. But anyway, the service I use brings all the comments from all three places into one stream on my computer, so I can see them all in one place, right? And this particular service, it will give me a notification when we have gotten our 100th message on the live stream that day. Okay? It'll pop in after you get the 100th comment total from Facebook, YouTube, whatever. You get to 100 comments, it'll give you this notification with like a little trophy icon. It says, congratulations, your first 100 messages on today's chat or whatever. Well, on Monday, I got that notification literally 30 minutes into the show. Today, I just got it 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. To 100 on comments on the live stream.
Well, I mean, you hit it well, and even back in the day when you were just starting on this particular station with this show with Roger, I can remember you coming in and doing Reaction Monday.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because
that's what it is. It's reaction. Everybody's got to come in and either gloat or point fingers and blame the coaches.
That's right.
But,
buddy, we had Evermore had some reaction. Hey, I got to bring something else back up. Now, you remember I mentioned this right off the top of the show because I tweeted about it.
Yeah.
The point was, I couldn't think of any others off the top of my head. I tweeted about it. Arkansas was the only school I could think of whose mascot is an invasive species.
Right.
I had just read an article this morning about how feral hogs are causing all this damage. Last year, they mauled some woman to death. It's the truth. It's awful, but it's true. Yeah. They're ruining, big
farmland,
honey, everything. They need to be eradicated. An invasive species. Well, that's their mascot. And I'm thinking, it's the only one I can think of. Some other people came up with gophers and beavers, that they are invasive. And then people start arguing about it on Twitter. They got on my Twitter feed, started arguing about how, there were hogs here and hogs naturally occur there. And my dad sent me a text. He's exactly right. People don't seem to understand the difference
between wild hogs and a hog you raised to be slaughtered.
They don't know the difference between invasive and indigenous. And you know what? He's exactly right.
That's a good point.
So allow me just for a second to define these two words.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Merriam-Webster spot.
Yes.
Go ahead, Matt.
Brought to you by, who sponsors the spelling bee? All right. That's a different deal. That's definition. I'm an idiot. Look, here it is. Invasive versus indigenous.
Right.
Invasive. Tending to spread prolifically and undesirably or harmfully. Tending to intrude on a person's thoughts or privacy, or involving the introduction of instruments or other objects into the body or body cavities. So we're going to go with the first definition.
Yeah, I like that one way better than the last
Tending
one.
to spread prolifically and undesirably or harmfully. That's the word invasive.
Yeah,
That's
termite would be
totally
invasive.
different, y'all, than indigenous. Indigenous, everybody's going, yeah, well, hogs occur naturally at this, that, and the other. And back in the 1700s, there were hogs. That ain't what we're talking about. Indigenous is originating or occurring naturally in a particular place, native to that area. We didn't even start. When I said invasive species, it had got nothing to do with if they're native to here or there or whatever. It doesn't matter how they got there if they're invasive. Like somebody commented on the Facebook live stream and they had a professor that said, anything that grows somewhere you don't want it to is a weed. Well, that may be taking it a little too far. Okay. But now we have defined indigenous, native to that place, invasive, destructive, and want them gone. And they're prolific and they reproduce like rabbits. And that is your Razorback hog. That's what they do. They got a great band when they call the hogs. Y'all ever heard them call the hogs when you go to an Arkansas game? I've heard it. That's it. Woo Pig Suey. You know, JB, I don't think I've ever seen a high school team whose mascot is the Razorbacks, though.
I can't think of one off the top of my head either.
You know, like we have the Tide. We got the Maroon Tide at Picayune. Right. We have Rebels. Lots of Bulldogs, Tigers.
Tartars.
And every other manner of mascot. Urchins and Tartars and all that kind of stuff. I have never heard or seen of a high school team that is either the Hogs or the Razorbacks. So I think it's very iconic, meaning it stands out there all by itself. That's for sure. All right, folks. Appreciate you tuning in today. Been a fun Thursday show. I'm going to split here in a minute, head down to Winston County, watch a little high school football tonight. Can't wait. And then we'll gather back tomorrow. JB, I'll see you tomorrow at same time, same place.
You be safe traveling, bud.
I'll do my best. Same to you. See you tomorrow. Jake coming up.